May 20th, 1944, late evening. My name is James Dalton, Jimmy, Private First Class, Company E, 2nd Battalion, 506th Parachute Infantry Regiment, 101st Airborne Division. I'm 22 years old, from Tonopah, Nevada. I'm writing this in my bunk at RAFU Pottery, somewhere in Devon, England. The barracks are quiet except for the sound of men breathing and the occasional cough. Someone snoring 2 bunks down. They sealed the base this afternoon. No one in or out. Mail stopped. Guard posts at every gate with orders to shoot anyone trying to leave. We all know what that means. Something big is coming. The air feels different. Electric almost. Like before a thunderstorm back home in the desert. You can feel it building. The guys are trying to act normal, but nobody's sleeping. I can see cigarettes glowing in the darkness. Hear the shuffle of cards from somewhere down the hall. Walter Gordon just walked past my bunk for the 3rd time in 10 minutes. He's nervous. We all are. I should probably explain why I'm writing this. My mom always kept a journal. Said it helped her think straight, especially during the Depression when Dad lost his job at the mine. She told me once that writing things down makes them real, but also somehow more manageable. Like you're taking the chaos in your head and organizing it into words on paper. I bought this notebook in Reno before I shipped out, small enough to fit in my musette bag. The guy at the stationery shop asked if it was for letters home. I told him it was for me. He nodded like he understood. Eleanor, my fiancée, she knows about it. I told her I'd keep writing throughout the war, and if anything happened, someone would send it to her. She made me promise. She said she wanted to know what I was thinking, even if I couldn't say it in letters. The truth is, the letters I send home aren't the whole truth. Can't be. You can't tell your mother about the things that really happen in war. You can't tell your kid sisters. Even Eleanor, as much as I love her, there are things she doesn't need to know. But here, in this notebook, I can write what's real. So here it is. The truth. Whatever happens in the next days or weeks or months, this is what it was really like. Let me tell you about the guys I'm with. Walter Gordon is my best friend in the company. We met at Fort Benning during jump school. He's from Philadelphia. Works in his dad's butcher shop before the war. Big guy, solid, always cracking jokes even when nothing's funny. He's the one who kept me going through those 5 qualifying jumps when I thought my legs would give out from pure terror every time. Sergeant Don Malarkey is our squad leader. Irish kid from Oregon. Tough as they come but fair. He looks out for the younger guys, which means he looks out for me half the time, even though I'm not that young. He's got this habit of whistling when he's nervous. He's been whistling all day. Bull Randleman is the big farm boy from Arkansas. Quiet, strong as an ox, steady. The kind of guy you want in your foxhole because nothing seems to rattle him. He doesn't talk much, but when he does, people listen. Joe Toy is the loudest of us. Pennsylvania coal miner's son. Curses like it's a second language. Has opinions about everything and shares them whether you ask or not. But he'd give you his last cigarette if you needed it. These are my guys, my brothers. Whatever's coming, we're in it together. The rumor mill has been grinding for days. Some guys think we're going to Norway. Others say southern France. A few swear it's the Pas de Calais. But I've seen the officers studying maps late at night through windows. I've noticed how they stop talking when we walk by. This feels bigger than rumors. My hands are shaking a little as I write this. Not sure if it's excitement or fear. Maybe both. I keep thinking about Eleanor. We got engaged last Christmas before I shipped out. She wore a green dress that matched her eyes. We danced at the church social to Glenn Miller's Moonlight Serenade. I can still feel her hand in mine, her head on my shoulder. She smells like lavender soap. I promised her I'd come back. I meant it. I still mean it. But sitting here in the darkness, listening to the sounds of 100 men trying not to think about tomorrow, I wonder if promises mean anything in war, if you can really control whether you come back or not. I guess we'll find out. The cigarette smoke is getting thick in here. Someone just lit another. The glow briefly illuminated his face and I saw the expression there. We're all wearing the same expression, waiting, wondering, trying to be brave. I should try to sleep. God knows when I'll get another chance. But I don't think I can. May 28th, 1944. Afternoon. 8 days locked in this camp, 8 days of waiting. It's making everyone crazy. The boredom is almost worse than the anticipation. Almost. We've cleaned our weapons so many times they gleam like new. I could disassemble and reassemble my M1 Garand blindfolded now. Probably have in my sleep. Every morning we drill. Every afternoon we check equipment. Every evening we wait. The poker games have gotten serious. Real money changing hands. Yesterday morning, I watched a private lose 2 months' pay in a single hand. He just stared at the cards for a long time, then walked outside. Nobody followed him. Walter and I played checkers this afternoon using bottle caps and a board scratched into the floor. Neither of us was really paying attention. We just needed something to do with our hands. The worst part is walking past the briefing room. They've got these huge sand table models set up in there, covered with canvas tarps. Through the windows, you can glimpse pieces of them. Tiny houses, rivers made of real water, little hedgerows. It's like looking at a diorama of someone's death. The officers walk in and out all day, carrying clipboards, studying papers. They look tired, worried even. That's not reassuring. The rumors have crystallized into something more specific. France. Definitely France. Everyone agrees on that now. The question is where and when. Some guys think it'll be called off entirely. The weather's been terrible. Rain and wind for days. The channel must be a nightmare out there. But others say that's exactly why we'll go soon, because eventually there will be a break in the weather and we'll need to move fast. I'm trying not to think too much about what comes after we board the planes, the actual jumping part. I've done it a dozen times in training, but never at night, never over enemy territory, never with people shooting at me on the way down. In training, the worst that happened was Danny Morrison breaking his ankle on a bad landing. The medics patched him up, and he was back jumping 2 months later. This time, the worst that can happen is a lot worse. Bull Randleman keeps saying the same thing. Don't matter how much you worry. Either you make it or you don't. Worrying just wastes the time you got left. Easy for him to say. Bull doesn't seem capable of worry. The rest of us aren't built that way. I got a letter from my brother Thomas yesterday, before they cut off the mail. He's in the Pacific with the Marines. Wrote about palm trees and heat and boredom. Didn't say much about fighting, but I could read between the lines. He saw action recently. Something bad. He asked about me in this careful way, like he was trying to figure out if I'd seen combat yet, without actually asking. I had to tell him no. Not yet. I'm still untested. Still don't know what I'll do when the bullets start flying for real. Part of me wants to find out. Prove I can do it. Prove I'm not a coward. The other part of me wants this war to end tomorrow so I never have to find out. Eleanor sent 3 letters in the last batch before lockdown. Reading them feels strange now. She writes about her job at the hospital, about the victory garden her mom planted, about how the Johnson's boy came home missing a hand. Normal things. Home things. Things that feel like they're happening on a different planet. She says she thinks about me every night before bed, prays for me, wears the ring I gave her and tells everyone we're getting married as soon as I come home. I wish I could write back, tell her I'm okay, tell her I'm scared, tell her I love her. But the mail's cut off, and even if it wasn't, I don't know what I'd say. How do you tell someone you love that you might die soon? How do you make them understand without making it worse? You don't. You just don't. So maybe it's better this way. Maybe silence is kinder. Joe Toya just walked in, cursing about something. He's always cursing about something. Today it's the quality of the chow. Yesterday it was the mud. Tomorrow it'll be something else. I think it's his way of coping. If you are angry about small things, you don't have to think about the big things. Malarkey's whistling again. That same tune he always does when he's nervous. I don't even think he knows he's doing it. 2 bunks over, a kid named Charles Grant is writing a letter. He's 18, lied about his age to enlist, baby-faced, skinny, probably never been in a real fight in his life. He keeps licking his lips and staring at the paper like he doesn't know what to write. I hope he makes it. I hope we all make it. But statistics aren't on our side. Airborne operations have high casualties. Everyone knows it. That's why we get the extra $50 a month. Hazard pay, jump pay, whatever you want to call it. I've been saving mine. Got almost $300 back home in a bank account. Figure Eleanor and I can use it to rent a place when I get back. Maybe buy some furniture. Start our life. $300 for risking your life every time you jump. Seems like a bargain for the army. The light's fading outside. Another day down. How many more until we go? I should stop writing. Save the pages. I'm already a quarter through this notebook, and the war hasn't even really started for me yet. But writing helps. Makes the waiting bearable. Just a little longer now. Has to be soon. June 2nd, 1944. Night. We know. They showed us today. The maps, the sand tables, everything. It's Normandy. Northern France. We're jumping in behind the beaches the night before the main invasion. Our job is to secure the causeway exits from Utah Beach, knock out German artillery positions, and generally raise hell behind enemy lines so the boys landing on the beaches have an easier time of it. We sat in that briefing room for 3 hours while officers pointed at maps and explained the plan. Colonel Sink gave a speech about making history. Major General Taylor talked about duty and courage. Lieutenant Meehan went over our specific objectives. The room was dead silent except for their voices. When they pulled back the tarps from the sand tables, I felt my stomach drop. It looked so real, so detailed. Little Norman churches, hedgerows everywhere. Fields that the Germans have flooded to make our drop zones into swamps. Towns with names I can barely pronounce. Sainte Marie du Mont, Carentan, Sainte Mère Église. Our drop zone is designated DZD. We'll be jumping from C-47s at approximately 0100 hours on June 6th. That's 1 o'clock in the morning, in the dark, over enemy territory. The Pathfinders go in first at 0015 to set up radar beacons and lights to guide us in. Then the main force. 18 men per plane, 850 plus planes in total. Over 6,000 paratroopers in our division alone, plus the 82nd Airborne hitting different zones. They showed us photographs of the German defenses, coastal guns, machine gun nests, minefields, obstacles on the beaches, the Atlantic Wall, Hitler's fortress Europe. It looks impregnable, but that's why we're going in from behind. Surprise? Hit them where they're not, expecting us. Cause confusion, make them think we're a bigger force than we are. In theory, it's brilliant. In practice, it sounds like suicide. The officers kept saying the same things. High casualty estimates. Scattered drops expected. Link up with other units as able. Improvise as necessary. Military speak for, we're throwing you into chaos and hoping you survive. Lieutenant Meehan tried to sound confident, but I could see it in his eyes. He knows. He knows this is going to be bad. After the briefing, they dismissed us to study our assigned objectives. I'm in 2nd Squad, 1st Platoon. Our job is to push inland from the drop zone, link up with other elements, and move toward the causeways. We have specific rally points marked with names like X-Ray and Easy. If we get separated, we use the cricket clickers to identify each other in the dark. 1 click, you answer with 2 clicks. Friend. Otherwise, assume enemy. I held that little brass cricket in my hand and thought about how much we're relying on a toy to keep us alive. Walter found me outside the briefing room afterward. He didn't say anything, just stood next to me and lit a cigarette. Offered me one. I don't usually smoke, but I took it. We stood there in the drizzle, smoking, not talking. Finally he said, well, hell. At least it's France and not Norway. I hate the cold. I laughed. Couldn't help it. Leave it to Walter to find something positive. Think we'll make it? I asked. He took a long drag, exhaled slowly. Some of us will. Not the answer I wanted, but honest. I appreciated that. Bull walked past and heard us. Stopped. Y'all worrying again? Just discussing our imminent deaths, Walter said. Bull shook his head. If you die, you die. If you don't, you got a hell of a story for your grandkids. Either way, it'll be fine. That's Bull's philosophy in a nutshell. Either way, it'll be fine. I wish I believed that. Joe Toy is sharpening his knife. He's been at it for an hour, honing the blade over and over. The sound is hypnotic. Scrape, scrape, scrape. Nobody's told him to stop. Malarkey organized a poker game, but nobody's heart is in it. The cards are just moving around the table. Money changing hands. None of it matters now. Charles Grant, the kid, is crying. Trying to hide it but failing. He's in his bunk with his face turned to the wall, shoulders shaking. A few guys looked over, but nobody said anything. What's there to say? We're all scared. At least he's honest about it. I keep thinking about the numbers. 6,000 paratroopers from the 101st. The briefing officers mentioned expected casualty rates but didn't give specifics. Just said significant losses anticipated. How many is significant? 10%? 20? Half? How do you volunteer for something when they tell you up front that a lot of you won't come back? But we did volunteer. Every one of us. We chose airborne. We wanted the prestige, the extra pay, the adventure. We thought we were tough, enough to handle it. Now it's real and I don't feel tough at all. I feel 22 years old and very, very small. Eleanor doesn't know any of this. Can't know. When I write to her, I'll tell her we did some training exercise or moved to a new base. I'll tell her I'm fine and thinking of her. I'll tell her I love her. I won't tell her that in 4 days I'm jumping out of a plane in the middle of the night into German-occupied France. And there's a good chance I won't survive the landing. Some things you just can't write in a letter home. But I can write them here. The truth is, I'm terrified. My hands are shaking as I write this. My stomach hasn't felt right since the briefing. Every time I close my eyes, I see those sand tables, those fields, those hedgerows that will either be cover or death traps. I see myself falling through the dark sky, and I wonder what waits at the bottom. Will I be brave? Will I freeze? Will I die quickly or slowly? Will it hurt? Will anyone remember me? These are the questions that chase themselves around in my head when I try to sleep. I keep touching the St. Christopher medal Eleanor gave me before I left. It's supposed to protect travelers. I'm not particularly religious, but right now I'll take all the help I can get. 4 days. 4 days until we find out if all this training meant anything. 4 days until we discover what we're really made of. 4 days until a lot of us die. There. I wrote it. That's what everyone's thinking, but nobody's saying. A lot of us are going to die. Maybe me, maybe Walter, maybe all of us. Or maybe we'll all make it through, and this fear will just be a memory we joke about over beers someday. I don't know which is worse, the fear or the not knowing. Someone just shouted it for lights out. The barracks are going dark. I should sleep. I should, but I won't. None of us will. June 4th, 1944. Early evening. They issued us our full combat equipment today. I thought I understood what it meant to be loaded down before. I was wrong. My main parachute is the T5 model. 28-foot canopy, canopy, packed in a container on my back. Reserve chute on my chest. The harness cuts into my shoulders even standing still. Together, both chutes weigh about 30 pounds. Then comes everything else. M1 Garand rifle, 9.5 pounds. 8 round clips, bandolier of extra ammunition, bayonet, 2 canteens of water, musette bag with extra rations, socks, personal items, entrenching tool strapped to my belt, gas mask in a bag, first aid kit, grenades, 2 gammon grenades for tanks if we encounter them, extra ammunition for the bar that someone in the squad will carry, rope, wire cutters, maps, compass. They gave us these leg bags to hold the overflow equipment. You strap it to your leg, and supposedly just before you hit the ground, you release it and it drops on a 15-foot rope. Then you land without all that extra weight dragging you down. In theory, in practice we've been hearing that the leg bags often break away during the parachute opening. The rope snaps under the weight and shock. You lose everything in the bag. So do you pack critical stuff in the leg bag and risk losing it? Or keep it on your body and risk breaking a leg on landing from the extra weight? There's no good answer. I'm carrying about 110 pounds of gear, more than half my body weight. We spent the afternoon practicing moving in full equipment. Just walking is hard. Running is nearly impossible, and we're supposed to fight in this stuff. Bull looks like he's wearing a child's backpack. He's so big and strong that the weight barely seems to register. The rest of us look like pack mules. Walter's making jokes about tipping over like a turtle if he falls down. But nobody's really laughing. The weather is terrible. Has been for 2 days. Wind howling. Rain coming down in sheets. The channel must be a mess. I heard some officers talking about postponement, about waiting for a better weather window. Part of me hopes they do. Postpone it indefinitely. Call it off. Send us home. The rational part knows that's not going to happen. Too much is riding on this. Too many men, too many ships, too much planning. This is happening whether the weather cooperates or not. Joe Toye tried on his full gear and immediately started cursing. Said no human being was meant to carry this much weight. Said the officers who planned this must have never actually tried jumping with a full combat load. Said a lot of other things I won't repeat. But he's right. This is insane. Malarkey gathered the squad and went over the equipment checklist one more time, made sure we all knew what we had, where everything was stowed, how to access it quickly. He's being very thorough, very professional, but his hands are shaking when he thinks nobody's looking. We all know what the shaking means. Tomorrow. It's almost certainly tomorrow, June 5th, the invasion on June 6th, unless the weather scrubs it entirely. I don't know which I'm hoping for anymore. My mouth is dry. Has been all day. I keep drinking water, but it doesn't help. It's nerves. Fear has a taste, turns out, metallic like sucking on a penny. Charles Grant asked me earlier if I was scared. The kid's eyes were wide, looking for reassurance, looking for someone to tell him it'll be okay. I told him everyone's scared, that being scared doesn't make you a coward, that courage is doing the job even when you're terrified. I'm not sure I believe that, but it seemed like the right thing to say. He nodded like it helped. I hope it did. Walter and I sat outside for a while, watching the rain. Neither of us talked much. There's not much left to say. At one point he asked me, "You got anyone back home? I mean, besides your folks?" I told him about Eleanor, described her green eyes and the way she laughs at my stupid jokes and how she makes me want to be better than I am. He listened, then said, "She sounds like a keeper." She is. Then you got something to live for. Hold on to that tomorrow night. When things get bad, think about her. I will. I am. She's all I can think about. But I'm also thinking about the fact that I might never see her again. That the last time I held her might have been the last time I'll ever hold her. That thought sits in my chest like a stone. I'm running out of things to write about the waiting. The fear has a sameness to it. Wake up scared. Go through the motions. Go to bed scared. Repeat. Tomorrow breaks the cycle one way or another. Either we go or we wait longer. Either I jump or I don't. Either I live or I die. The rain keeps falling. Someone's playing harmonica somewhere. A sad song I don't recognize. It fits the mood. I should try to rest, get whatever sleep I can while I can. But every time I close my eyes, I see that sand table, those fields, that darkness we're jumping into, and I wonder if I'll ever close my eyes in peace again. June 5th, 1944. 10 o'clock in the morning. It's postponed. They told us at dawn formation. Weather's too bad. Operation pushed back 24 hours. We'll go tomorrow night instead. June 6th instead of June 5th. The tension that broke when they told us was almost physical. Like everyone exhaled at once. But now, a few hours later, the relief is turning into something worse. We have to do this all over again. The mental preparation, the fear management, the acceptance of possible death. We did all that yesterday, built ourselves up to it, ready to go. Now we have to rebuild it all again for tomorrow. It's exhausting. Walter looks deflated, just sitting on his bunk staring at nothing. When I asked if he was okay, he said, "I was ready, Jimmy. I'd made my peace with it. Now I gotta make peace with it all over again." That's exactly it. You can only psych yourself up for death so many times before something breaks. Bull says it doesn't matter. One day or another, what's the difference? But even Bull looks tired. Joe Toye is furious, pacing back and forth, cursing the brass, cursing the weather, cursing everything. His anger is easier than the alternative. At least anger gives you something to do with the fear. Charles Grant cried again. Not hiding it this time, just sitting there with tears running down his face. A couple guys sat with him. Nobody said much. What can you say? Malarkey tried to keep everyone busy, organized another equipment check, another weapon cleaning, busy work to fill the hours. But we all know it's just distraction. I tried to write a letter to Eleanor this morning, sat with the paper for an hour, couldn't find the words. How do you write to someone when you might be dead before they read it? I started 5 different times. Each one felt wrong, too cheerful, too morbid, too fake, too honest. Finally, I just wrote the truth as best I could. Dear Eleanor, I'm writing this on what might be my last day in England. I can't tell you where we're going or what we're doing, but I want you to know that I'm thinking of you, that I've been thinking of you every day since I left. I remember dancing with you at the church social, Moonlight Serenade. You said it was your favorite song. I'd never heard it before that night, but now I hear it in my head all the time. I hear it and I see you in that green dress, and I remember what it felt like to hold you, and I think that if I could just get back to that moment, everything would be okay. I don't know what's coming. None of us do. But I promise I'm going to do everything I can to come home to you, to marry you like we planned, to build the life we talked about. If something happens to me, I need you to know that loving you was the best thing I ever did. That knowing you love me back made me feel like the luckiest man alive. That every good moment I've had in this war has been because I was carrying the memory of you with me. Be strong, be happy, live well. That's all I want for you. I love you, always. Jimmy. I sealed the envelope but couldn't bring myself to give it to anyone yet. Maybe tomorrow, right before we board the planes, maybe never. I don't know. The barracks are subdued, quiet, men lying on bunks, playing cards without really playing, smoking, thinking. The weight of tomorrow sits on all of us. I keep going over the plan in my head, the sequence of events, boarding the plane at 2300 hours, takeoff, flight over the channel, crossing the French coast, anti-aircraft fire, red light, stand up, hook up, check equipment, sound off for equipment check, red light, green light, go. Then falling through darkness, parachute opening, hoping it opens, trying to steer away from trees and buildings, hitting the ground, getting out of the harness, finding the cricket clicker, finding other men, moving toward the objective. That's if everything goes right. If things go wrong, there are 1,000 ways to die. Plane shot down before we jump, parachute failure, landing in water and drowning under the weight of equipment, landing in trees and getting shot while hanging there, landing in the middle of a German position, landing wrong and breaking bones, landing right and getting killed in the first firefight. The briefing officers kept saying the same thing. Flexibility is key. Improvise, adapt, overcome. Military speak for the plan will fall apart immediately. But we're paratroopers. This is what we trained for, jumping into chaos and making something of it. At least, that's what we keep telling ourselves. Father Maloney came through the barracks this afternoon, Catholic chaplain, young guy, maybe 30. He offered to hear confessions, give blessings, talk to anyone who needed it. I'm not Catholic, but I talked to him anyway. Asked him if he thought God was on our side. He smiled, but it was a sad smile. Said God isn't on anyone's side in a war. That God grieves for all the death, ours and theirs. That the best we can do is try to be good men, doing a hard job. I asked if that was supposed to be comforting. He said no, just honest. I appreciated the honesty. Before he left, he put his hand on my shoulder and said a prayer. Asked God to protect me and bring me home safe. Asked for courage in the face of fear and mercy in the face of death. I don't know if prayers work, but it couldn't hurt. The afternoon dragged on. Dinner was steak and eggs again. All the coffee you could drink. Ice cream. The traditional meal before a jump. Everyone ate, but I don't think anyone tasted it. After dinner, some guys started cutting each other's hair. Mohawks. Like Indians. War paint too. Burnt cork and cooking grease smeared on faces in patterns. I watched for a while, then let Walter give me a mohawk. Why not? If we're going to war, might as well look the part. The war paint felt strange on my skin, greasy, probably won't help with anything, but it's a ritual now, something to bind us together. We're all marked the same way, all preparing for the same thing. Bull shaved his head completely, said less for the Germans to grab onto. Joe Toya drew a skull on his forehead. Malarkey painted stripes across his cheeks. We look insane. We probably are a little insane. You'd have to be to jump out of a perfectly good airplane in the middle of the night over enemy territory. The light's fading now. Last evening in England. Last sunset before we go. It's a gray sunset. No color. Just light slowly leaking out of the sky until there's nothing left but darkness, fitting somehow. I keep thinking about what Bull said. Either you make it or you don't. Either way, it'll be fine. But it won't be fine for everyone. Some of us won't see another sunset, won't see England again, won't see home. Statistics say so. Common sense says so. The only question is who. I don't want it to be me. I don't want it to be Walter or Bull or any of the guys I've trained with, lived with, laughed with. But it will be some of us. Has to be. That's the math of war. I'm trying not to think about it, trying to focus on the job, on doing my part, on trusting my training. But late at night, alone with these thoughts, it's hard not to wonder. Tomorrow night, this time, where will I be? Alive in France, dead in a field, hanging in a tree, drowned in a marsh, or maybe, if I'm lucky, huddled in a foxhole somewhere, scared but alive, thinking about the fact that I survived the first night. That's the best case scenario. Survival. Not victory, not glory, just breathing. That's all I want now. To still be breathing when the sun comes up on June 6th. Everything else is gravy. The barracks are settling in for another sleepless night. Men lying in bunks, smoking in the darkness, thinking private thoughts. We're all in this together, but we're all alone with our fear. That's the paradox of war. Brotherhood and isolation existing in the same space. I should stop writing. Save the pages. But writing helps. Makes the fear smaller, more manageable. Just one more night. Then we'll see what we're made of. June 5th, 1944, 6 o'clock in the evening. It's on. They just told us. Tomorrow. June 6th. The invasion. Weather window opening up. Just enough. Eisenhower gave the order. We board the planes at 2300 hours. Just past 5 hours from now. This is it. This is really it. The atmosphere in the barracks is strange. Not panic, not calm. Something in between. Men moving with purpose but slowly, like we're all underwater. Dinner's being served now. The Last Supper, someone called it. Not funny, but a few guys laughed anyway. I'm not hungry. Haven't been able to eat since they told us. My stomach feels like it's tied in knots. Tight and cold and wrong. Walter's been quiet, just sitting on his bunk checking and rechecking his equipment for the 10th time. Everything's already perfect, but he keeps checking anyway. It's something to do with his hands. Bull's writing a letter. I can see his big fingers holding the pen carefully, forming words slowly. Wonder who he's writing to. He never talks about family. Joe Toya's sharpening his knife again. That same knife he's been working on for days. The blade must be razor sharp by now, but he keeps going. Scrape, scrape, scrape. The sound used to be annoying. Now it's almost comforting. Something familiar in all this strangeness. Malarkey gathered us one last time. Went over the plan. Rally points. Objectives. Hand signals. Recognition codes. The cricket clickers. He looked at each of us and said, stick together. Watch each other's backs. Do your job. That's all I'm asking. Then he paused and added, it's been an honor serving with you men. That's when it really hit me. He thinks some of us won't make it. Maybe all of us. That was a goodbye disguised as a pep talk. Charles Grant is praying, on his knees beside his bunk, hands folded, lips moving silently. Nobody's bothering him, even Joe Toye, who usually has something sarcastic to say about everything, just walked past quietly. We all have our own ways of coping. For some, it's prayer. For others, it's anger or jokes or busy work or silence. For me, it's this. Writing. Trying to capture this moment. This feeling. I want to remember this. The before. When we were still safe, still whole, still untested. After tonight, everything changes. After tonight, we'll know. We'll know what combat really is, what death really looks like, what we're really capable of, and we'll know who makes it and who doesn't. I keep touching my gear, checking straps, counting grenades, making sure my rifle's clean. It's all perfect, but I keep checking anyway. It's not really about the equipment, it's about control, about feeling like I have some control over what happens. I don't, of course. Control is an illusion. Once I jump out of that plane, I'm at the mercy of gravity, wind, enemy fire, luck, fate, God, whatever you want to call it. All I can control is whether I do my job. Whether I'm brave when it matters. Whether I help my brothers or let them down. That's it. That's all I've got. Eleanor's letter is sealed in my pocket, along with the one to my parents and one to my brother Thomas, just in case. I touched Eleanor's St. Christopher medal, said a silent prayer to whoever might be listening. Keep me safe. Bring me home. Let me see her again. Simple prayers. Selfish maybe, but honest. Father Maloney came through again. More blessings, more prayers. He moved from man to man, touching shoulders, speaking softly. When he got to me, he said, "You ready, son?" I told him no, but I'd go anyway. He smiled. That's all anyone can ask. He made the sign of the cross over me and moved on to the next guy. I don't feel blessed. I feel terrified. But maybe that's normal. Maybe everyone feels this way before battle. Maybe the heroes we read about in the papers were just as scared as I am now. Maybe bravery is just being scared and doing it anyway. I hope so, because I'm scared down to my bones, and I'm still going to get on that plane. The light's almost gone now, dusk settling in. In a few hours we'll be loading up, engines starting, taxiing to the runway, then taking off into the night, toward France, toward the unknown, toward whatever waits for us on the other side of that airplane door. I can hear music from somewhere outside, someone's radio playing. Glenn Miller, In the Mood, makes me think of Eleanor, dancing, the church social, her laugh. I'm going to hold on to that. When things get bad, when I'm falling through the darkness, when the bullets are flying, I'm going to think about that moment. Her hand in mine, her head on my shoulder, the music playing. That's what I'm fighting for. Not grand ideals or political theories. Just that moment. Just the chance to have moments like that again. That's enough. Walter just came over, sat down next to me without saying anything. After a while he said, "See you on the ground, Jimmy." "See you on the ground, Walter." We shook hands, held on a little longer than normal, then he went back to his bunk. We're all saying our goodbyes in small ways. Nobody's making a big deal of it. But we all know what we're doing, just in case. The barracks are getting louder now, as dinner breaks up and men come back. More nervous energy, more jokes, more forced confidence. We're all putting on masks, pretending to be braver than we are. Maybe if we pretend hard enough, it'll become real. I don't know if I'm brave. I've never been tested like this before. But I know I love my brothers in this unit. I know I don't want to let them down. I know I want to go home to Eleanor. Those things will have to be enough. 2 more hours until we gear up. 3 more hours until we board the planes. 4 more hours until everything changes. I'm going to stop writing now. Try to rest. Clear my head. Prepare as best I can. The next time I write, I'll be in France. Or I won't write at all. Either way, this is the end of the waiting. The beginning of everything else. Here we go. June 5th, 1944. 10:30 at night. At the airfield. Writing this quick while we wait to board. The planes are lined up in the darkness. C-47s, dozens of them, engines already warming up. The sound is incredible. A roar that drowns out everything else. We marched here in full gear. Took forever. Every step was hard with all this weight. I must have stumbled 5 times. The scene at the airfield is surreal. Hundreds of men in full equipment, faces painted, weapons ready. We look like something out of a nightmare. Maybe we are. They organized us by chalk numbers. I'm chalk 66, 12th man in the stick, middle of the pack, near enough to the door to see out, far enough back that I have time to think before my turn to jump. Not sure if that's good or bad. Father Maloney moved through the groups, giving final blessings. When he got to our stick, he raised his voice over the engine noise and said a prayer for all of us. Asked God to watch over us in the darkness ahead. Some men crossed themselves. Others just stood silently. I prayed along. Couldn't hurt. Lieutenant Meehan checked our gear one last time, tugged straps, tested buckles. He's in our plane, leading from the front. I respect that. He looked tired, scared even, but determined. We're all scared. The difference is we're going anyway. I can see Walter 2 positions ahead of me in the stick. Can't see his face clearly in the darkness, but I know it's him by his shape. His stance, bulls in another plane, different chalk. I won't see him until we're on the ground, if we both make it. Joe Toya and Malarkey are in my stick. That's something. Good men to jump with. Charles Grant is right in front of me in the jump order. 11th man. I can see him shaking. He keeps adjusting his straps, his hands fumbling. I put my hand on his shoulder. Didn't say anything. Just wanted him to know someone was there. He looked back at me. Even in the darkness, I could see the terror in his eyes. I nodded at him. Tried to look confident. Not sure if it worked. The engines are getting louder. They're almost ready for us to board. This is it. Last few minutes on English soil. Last few minutes of safety. I took one last look around. At England. At the fields beyond the runway. At the sky that's clearing just enough for this madness to proceed. It's beautiful in a way. Peaceful. Hard to believe that in a few hours I'll be fighting for my life. The contrast is jarring. Peace to war, safety to danger, life to possible death, all separated by a few hours and one jump into darkness. I'm trying not to think too much about the actual jumping part, about standing in that door with nothing but black sky and anti-aircraft fire in front of me, about stepping out into nothing and hoping my parachute opens. If I think about it too much, I'll freeze. So I'm just focusing on the next thing. Board the plane, sit down, hold on, wait for the lights. One thing at a time. My mouth is dry again. That metallic taste. My hands are cold despite the fact I'm sweating under all this gear. Fear does strange things to your body. An officer just called out. 5 minutes until boarding. 5 minutes. This is the last time I'll write before France, before combat, before everything. If I don't make it, I hope someone finds this and sends it to Eleanor. I hope she reads it and understands. I hope she knows that I loved her until the very end. If I do make it, I hope I'm worthy of surviving. I hope I don't let anyone down. I hope I can live with whatever I have to do. Either way, this is it. The end of one life, the beginning of another, or the end of life entirely. We'll see soon enough. Walter just looked back at me, gave me a thumbs up. I gave one back. See you on the ground, brother. Time to board, June 6, 1944. Approximately 5 o'clock in the morning. France. I'm alive. I'm writing this with shaking hands, sitting with my back against a hedgerow somewhere in Normandy. The sun's just starting to come up. Grey light filtering through clouds. I don't even know where to start. The flight was smooth at first. We took off at 2300 hours exactly. 18 of us packed into that C-47 like sardines. Couldn't move. Could barely breathe with all the gear. Some guys were singing, Blood on the Risers. That old Paratrooper song about a chute not opening. Gallows humor. Singing about death while flying toward it. Others were praying. Quiet, personal prayers. I just sat there, trying to keep my breathing steady, trying not to think about what came next. The channel crossing was long, seemed to take forever. Through the small windows, I could see other planes in formation around us. A massive aerial armada. Hundreds of aircraft. The moonlight reflecting off wings. Then I saw the ships below. The invasion fleet. More ships than I'd ever imagined, stretching from horizon to horizon. Destroyers, cruisers, battleships, transports, landing craft. Thousands of vessels all heading toward France. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. That's when it really hit me. This is history. We're part of something massive, something that will be in books someday, if we survive to tell about it. The plane started to get rougher as we approached the French coast. Turbulence. The pilots taking evasive action. Then the anti-aircraft fire started. God. Oh, God. I can't even describe it properly. The sky just lit up. Tracer rounds streaking past in red lines. Flak burst exploding in black clouds. The plane shaking and jerking as the pilots tried to dodge. Something hit our plane. A loud bang. The aircraft shuddered. Someone screamed. The red light came on. Stand up and hook up. We all stood. Well, we tried. The weight made it hard. The plane bouncing made it harder. I hooked my static line to the anchor cable running the length of the plane. Checked the man's gear in front of me. Charles. Grant. His hands were shaking so bad he could barely get his line attached. Sound off for equipment check. We shouted the count from the back of the stick forward. 18 okay? 17 okay? Down the line. When it was my turn, I yelled 12 okay as loud as I could, trying to sound confident, trying to convince myself. The plane was getting hit repeatedly now, flak tearing through the thin aluminum skin. I could see holes appearing in the fuselage. Moonlight and tracer fire streaming through them. We were too low, way too low. The pilots must have dove to escape the flak. We were supposed to jump at 1,500 feet. We looked more like 500, maybe less. The green light came on. Go, go, go. Men started shuffling toward the door. Lieutenant Meehan went first, then the next man, then the next. It went fast, so fast. No time to think. Just move, just go. Charles Grant froze in the door. Just for a second, looked back at me with absolute terror. Then someone pushed him, and he was gone. My turn. I saw the jumpmaster's face. He was yelling, "Go! Go!" But I couldn't hear him over the engines and the wind and the flak. I stepped into nothing. The prop blast hit me like a truck, spinning me, tumbling me, the wind tearing at my gear. I counted 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. The parachute opened with a crack that felt like being grabbed by a giant hand. The harness bit into my shoulders and groin. Pain, but good pain, meant I had to shoot. Then I was floating through hell. The sky was full of fire. Tracer rounds everywhere. Other parachutes around me, some on fire. I saw one man whose chute was burning. He screamed all the way down. The sound cut off suddenly. I couldn't tell how high I was. Couldn't see the ground. Just darkness below and fire above. My leg bag. I needed to release my leg bag. I reached for the release. Pulled it. The bag dropped away on its rope and I watched it disappear into the darkness. Then the ground hit me. Not a landing, a crash. I came down hard in a hedgerow, branches tearing at me. My leg twisted. My face hit something. Blood in my mouth. But I was down. I was alive. I lay there for a second, stunned, ears ringing, body aching, trying to figure out if anything was broken. Above me, the sky was still full of planes and parachutes and fire. All around me, I could hear shouting, gunfire, explosions. I fumbled with my harness release. Finally got it undone. The parachute came away and I collapsed to the ground. My leg bag was gone. Rope snapped just like we'd been warned. I'd lost half my equipment, but I had my rifle, still strapped to my side, and my reserve chute, which I quickly unhooked and left behind. The grenades on my belt. My canteen. I pulled out the cricket clicker. One click. Silence. Another click. Silence. I was alone. The hedgerow I'd landed in was like a wall, thick vegetation on an earthen bank. I couldn't see more than a few feet in any direction. Gunfire somewhere. Close. Sounded like machine guns, rifles. Couldn't tell if it was our guys or Germans or both. I started moving, crawling along the hedgerow, clicking my cricket. One click. Listening. Finally I heard it. 2 clicks in response. I clicked again. 2 clicks back. Closer. A figure emerged from the darkness. I almost shot him. He almost shot me. Then we both saw the shapes of each other's helmets. American. It wasn't anyone from my company. He was from the 82nd Airborne. Completely different division. Wrong drop zone. We were scattered. Badly scattered. His name was Miller. Private. Ohio. He looked as scared as I felt. You seen anyone else? He asked. No, just you. Christ, where are we? I have no idea. We kept moving together. Clicking. Found another man. Then 2 more. None of them from the right units. All of us lost. The sky was starting to lighten. Dawn coming. That scared me more than the darkness. In daylight, we'd be visible. We could hear fighting in multiple directions. Couldn't tell what was what. The hedgerows made it impossible to see anything. Then we found him, hanging in a tree, a paratrooper, shot multiple times while descending, still in his harness, swaying slightly in the breeze. His face was wrong, all wrong. I couldn't look at it for long. My stomach turned over. I stepped to the side and vomited. Couldn't help it. Just heaved until there was nothing left. Miller put his hand on my shoulder. First one? I nodded. Won't be the last. He was right. Over the next hour, moving through the hedgerows toward the sound of heavier fighting, we found 3 more dead. Americans, Germans, didn't matter. Death looked the same on everyone. I keep replaying the jump in my head. The fire, the chaos, the man with the burning parachute screaming. Charles Grant. I don't know if he made it. I haven't seen him. Walter, Bull, Malarkey, Joe Toy, Lieutenant Meeson. I don't know where any of them are. Don't know if they're alive or dead. I'm alone with 4 strangers from different units, trying to figure out where we are and what to do next. This isn't how it was supposed to go. We were supposed to land together, link up, move toward objectives as a unit. Instead, we're scattered across the French countryside like seeds thrown to the wind, some of us growing, some of us dead before we hit the ground. But I'm alive. For now. My leg hurts where I twisted it in the landing. My face is cut from the branches. My hands are scraped and bleeding. But I'm alive. The sun's coming up. We need to move. Need to find more of our guys. Need to figure out where the hell we are and what we're supposed to be doing. One of the other guys, a corporal from the 82nd, says we should head toward the heaviest gunfire. Says that's probably where the big groups are forming. Seems as good a plan as any. I'm folding this notebook away now. Can't write and fight at the same time. If I make it through today, I'll write more tonight. If I don't, well, someone might find this someday, might know what it was like. I made it through the jump. That's something. Now I just have to survive everything that comes next. June 6th, 1944. Approximately 6 in the morning. Quick entry. We're stopped behind a hedgerow. Can hear Germans close by. Found 5 more paratroopers. None from my unit. We're 15 men now. Mix of 101st and 82nd. The corporal, his name's Johnson, is senior man, so he's in charge. We've been moving toward the sound of fighting. Or trying to. The hedgerows are like a maze. Every field looks the same. Can't see landmarks, can't get oriented. One guy has a compass, says we're heading generally east, toward Utah Beach, where the landing should be happening soon. We can hear it. Heavy guns. Explosions. Somewhere beyond these hedgerows is the coast and the battle, but here, right now, it's just us, creeping through fields, jumping at every sound. Half an hour ago, we walked into a German position by accident, a farmhouse with maybe 6 or 7 Germans inside. The firefight lasted maybe 2 minutes. It felt like hours. This is going to sound strange, but I don't remember most of it clearly. It's all fragments, flashes of images without coherence. Muzzle flashes, someone yelling in German, the sound of my rifle firing, the kick against my shoulder, a German soldier falling, running forward, more shooting, then it was over. The Germans were dead or fled. We were still standing. Well, mostly. One of our guys got hit in the arm. Bad wound, but not fatal. We patched him up as best we could. He's still with us, but he's pale and shaking. I killed someone. At least, I think I did. I fired my rifle at a German soldier in the farmhouse doorway and he went down. But other guys were shooting too, so maybe it was their bullets. Maybe it was mine. Does it matter? Dead is dead. Whether I pulled the trigger or someone else did, but I keep seeing his face. Young, pale, surprised, then gone. We took their weapons. I've got a P-38 pistol now. German sidearm. Stuck it in my belt. Feel like a bandit. Or a soldier. Can't tell the difference anymore. The sun's fully up now. Beautiful morning, actually. Blue sky breaking through clouds. Birds singing in the hedgerows. Smells like cut grass and apples. Completely at odds with the violence. How can the world be so beautiful when people are dying? We're moving again. Johnson says we need to find more of our guys. Link up with larger groups. Get organized. Right now, we're just 15 lost men with rifles, wandering through France trying not to die. My hands are steady now. The shaking stopped. Don't know when. Just noticed they're steady. That probably means something. Not sure what. More later if I can. June 6th, 1944. Mid-morning, maybe 10 o'clock. Found Sergeant Malarkey. We'd been moving through the hedgerows for an hour, clicking crickets, calling out softly, when I heard a familiar voice. Second squad, easy company, sound off, Malarkey's voice. No mistaking it. I nearly cried with relief. We found them in a large field, maybe 40 men from different units, but at least 10 were from Easy Company, my company. Malarkey saw me and grinned. Dalton, thought you were dead. We clasped hands. I've never been so happy to see someone in my life. He's organizing men as they come in, sorting them by unit, forming ad hoc squads, getting a count of what weapons and ammunition we have. Captain Winters is here. He survived. He's taken command since Lieutenant Meehan's plane was shot down. Everyone on board killed. Meehan, the headquarters section, all of them gone before they even jumped. That could have been me. Could have been any of us. Walter's not here. Nobody's seen him since the jump. Bull's missing too. Joe Toye, Charles Grant. Most of the company is missing. Out of 140 men in Easy Company, maybe 35 have linked up here so far. The rest are scattered, captured, wounded, or dead. But Malarkey's alive. That's something. And more men keep trickling in as they find their way here. Captain Winters is giving orders. We're supposed to move toward the causeway exits from Utah Beach. That's still the objective. Secure the exits so the troops landing can push inland. He sent scouts to figure out where we actually are. None of the landmarks match what we were briefed. We're way off from our drop zone, but at least we're organized now. A real unit instead of a handful of lost men. A sergeant from the 82nd just came in with intel, says the beach landings have started. He could hear the naval bombardment, thousands of ships offshore just pounding the German positions. That's good news. Means the invasion is on schedule even if the airborne drop was chaotic. We're supposed to be causing havoc behind German lines, disrupting their response, cutting communications, hitting them from behind while they're focused on the beach. From what I can see, we've definitely caused havoc. Just not necessarily in an organized way, more like we fell on them from the sky in complete chaos and have been stumbling around, making trouble ever since. But maybe that's working. The Germans must be confused as hell. Paratroopers everywhere. Small firefights breaking out all over. They probably think we're a bigger force than we are. Winters says we're moving out in 10 minutes, heading toward a nearby village to clear it and establish a position. I've checked my ammo. 2 clips left from my rifle. Plus the P-38 with 1 magazine. 3 grenades. 1 gammon grenade. Not a lot, but more than some guys have. My leg's still sore from the landing, but it's working. My face hurts where the branches tore it up. But I'm mobile. I'm armed. I'm with my unit. That's more than a lot of men can say today. Malarkey pulled me aside before we moved out. You good? He asked. I think so. First combat's always hard, but you're still here. That means you did okay. I told him about the farmhouse, about maybe killing a German, about not being sure how to feel about it. He nodded. It's war, Dalton. You do what you have to do, feel bad about it later if you need to, but right now, just focus on staying alive and keeping your buddies alive. Good advice, I guess. Don't have time to process feelings. Have to keep moving, keep fighting, process it later. If there is a later. We're forming up now, moving out in column formation, staying in the hedgerows for cover. The sound of guns in the distance is constant now. A rolling thunder that never stops. The invasion is happening, the battle is raging, and we're part of it, ready or not. June 6th, 1944. Afternoon. Approximately 2 o'clock. Stopped in a ditch, catching our breath, riding quick. We've been in 3 more firefights since this morning, nothing huge, small skirmishes, Germans retreating or trying to set up defensive positions, us pushing forward. I've definitely killed people now, no doubt about it. A German soldier stepped out from behind a hedgerow maybe 15 feet away. He was as surprised to see me as I was to see him. We both froze for half a second, then training took over. I raised my rifle, fired. He went down. I walked over to check. He was dead, shot through the chest, young guy, maybe 19, couldn't be much older. There was a photo in his pocket. I saw it sticking out of his tunic. A woman and a little girl. His wife? His daughter? His sister? I don't know. Didn't look closer. Couldn't. Took his rifle because I needed the ammunition. Left everything else. Kept moving. That's the rhythm of combat. Fight. Move. Fight. Move. Don't think too much. Don't stop too long. Bull Randleman found us an hour ago. He's alive. Came crashing through a hedgerow with 5 other guys from different units. He'd landed miles away. Spent all morning trying to link up. His shoulder's bleeding. Took shrapnel from a grenade but says it's not bad. Refused to stop for medical treatment. Just had someone bandage it quick and kept going. That's Bull. Indestructible. Still no sign of Walter, or Joe Toye, or Charles Grant. Malarkey says not to assume the worst. Says guys are still trickling in all over. Says they might have landed even farther away. Might link up tomorrow or the next day. I want to believe that. But I keep thinking about the man I saw hanging in the tree. About all the dead paratroopers scattered across these fields. Statistics say some of them are my friends. We're heading toward a causeway now. One of the exits from Utah Beach. Captain Winters says if we can secure it, we'll have accomplished our primary objective. We can hear the battle on the beach. Heavy guns, the crump of explosions carrying across the fields, smoke rising in columns. Men are dying over there by the hundreds. But from what the scouts say, Utah Beach is going better than expected. Light casualties compared to what was feared. The defenses aren't as strong here as in other areas. That's partly because of us. The airborne drop, despite the chaos, has pulled German forces away from the beach. They're dealing with us instead of massing at the coast. So maybe it's working. Maybe the plan, insane as it was, is actually working. We're just paying the price in blood and fear and exhaustion. My hands are steady, have been all day. I'm not shaking anymore. Not scared in the same way I was last night. Now it's different. It's focus. It's survival instinct. It's just doing the next thing without thinking too much about it. Maybe that's what they mean by being a soldier. You stop thinking like a civilian and start thinking like someone whose job is violence. That's a scary thought, that I'm getting used to this, that killing is becoming routine. But I don't have time to worry about it now. We're moving toward the causeway, toward more Germans, toward more fighting. One thing at a time, stay alive, keep my buddies alive, do the job. Everything else is later. June 6th, 1944. Evening, approximately 8 o'clock. We're dug in near Sainte Marie du Mont, in foxholes, waiting for night to fall completely. We secured one of the causeway exits this afternoon. It was a hell of a fight. German machine gun nest covering the approach, mortars dug in behind hedgerows, maybe 30 or 40 defenders. We flanked them, came in from two sides while a third group laid down suppressing fire. The fight lasted maybe 20 minutes but felt like hours. I used my last 2 grenades, fired all my remaining rifle ammunition, used the P-38 until it was empty. At one point, I was just throwing rocks because I had nothing else, but we took the position, killed or captured the Germans, secured the exit. Troops from Utah Beach started coming through an hour later, infantry, tanks, support units, all flowing inland through the causeway we'd secured. They looked at us like we were ghosts, covered in blood and mud and powder residue, faces painted, equipment scattered and mismatched. One lieutenant asked what unit we were from. Malarkey told him all of them because we had guys from 6 different companies and 2 different divisions. The lieutenant just nodded and moved on. He had other problems to worry about. Walter found us. He came walking up the causeway with the infantry, carrying a German machine gun he'd captured somewhere. I saw him and just started laughing. Couldn't help it. Relief and joy and exhaustion all mixed together. He dropped the machine gun, grabbed me in a bear hug. "Thought you were dead, Jimmy." "Thought you were too." We stood there, 2 idiots hugging in the middle of a battlefield, while other men walked past. He landed in a flooded field, nearly drowned under the weight of his equipment, managed to get his harness off and swim to dry ground, then spent all day fighting his way here, picking up stray paratroopers as he went. He's alive. Bull's alive. Malarkey's alive. I'm alive. 4 of us made it through the first day. But Joe Toye is dead. We got word an hour ago. Artillery hit his position near the drop zone this morning. Direct hit. Nothing left to bury. Just his dog tags and his watch. He was 30 feet from me in the plane last night. 12 hours ago. Now he's gone. Erased from existence in a fraction of a second. I keep trying to process it, but I can't. Joe Toye, who was so loud and alive and impossible to ignore. Just gone. We collected his personal effects. His watch, stopped at 0630. His dog tags. A letter from his mother he'd been carrying. A rosary. Someone will send them home. Someone will write to his family. Someone will try to explain that their son died serving his country, died bravely, died for a good cause. All true. All meaningless to the people who loved him. He's still just as dead either way. Charles Grant is missing. Nobody's seen him since the jump. He's listed as MIA, missing in action. The kid who was so scared, who cried in his bunk, who froze in the airplane door before someone pushed him. I hope he's alive somewhere, separated from the group, lost but safe. Maybe captured. Better that than dead. Lieutenant Meehan and his entire staff are confirmed dead. Their plane exploded shortly after we jumped. Everyone aboard killed instantly. Captain Winters is company commander now. He's good. Better than Meehan, maybe. Calmer. More confident. Men trust him. We're going to need that in the days ahead. Because this isn't over. Not even close. The beach landing succeeded, but now comes the hard part. Pushing inland. Taking territory. Fighting for every hedgerow, every field, every village. The bocage is going to be hell. These hedgerows are natural fortifications. Every field is its own little battlefield. The Germans can defend forever in this terrain. This is going to be a long, bloody fight, but we did it. We accomplished the mission. We secured the causeway exits. We disrupted German defenses. We helped Utah Beach succeed. At the cost of half our company, at the cost of Joe Toy and Charles Grant and Lieutenant Meehan and dozens of others. Was it worth it? I don't know. Ask me when the war's over. Ask me when I'm home with Eleanor. Ask me when enough time has passed that I can think about this day without feeling sick. Right now, all I know is that I'm alive. Walter's alive, Bull's alive, Malarkey's alive. We're in a foxhole together. Walter and me, sharing a cigarette. Too tired to talk much. The sun's setting. The sky is turning orange and pink. Beautiful. Despite everything. I can hear gunfire in the distance. Sporadic. The battle continuing into the night. But here, in our little piece of France, there's a moment of quiet. Walter handed me the cigarette. Said, "We made it through day one." Yeah. How many more days you think this'll last? I have no idea. Me neither. We sat in silence for a while. Then he said, "I'm glad you're alive, Jimmy. I'm glad you're alive too." That's all there is to say, really. We're alive. Our friends are dead or missing. The war continues. Tomorrow will bring more fighting, more death, more chaos. But tonight we're alive. And that has to be enough. June 7th, 1944, pre-dawn, approximately 4 in the morning, German counterattack. Started at midnight. Artillery first, shells raining down on our positions. The hedgerows exploded in fire and shrapnel. Then infantry. Germans pushing forward in the darkness, trying to retake the causeway, trying to push us back. The fighting was vicious, close range, sometimes hand to hand. Impossible to see who was who in the darkness. Just shapes and muzzle flashes and screaming. A grenade landed in the foxhole next to ours. Bull Randleman threw himself on it. No, wait, that's wrong. My brain is scrambled. Bull threw it back, just picked it up and chucked it back toward the Germans. It exploded in the air, probably killed someone. Bull just grunted and kept firing his rifle like nothing happened. The man's insane. Or a hero. Probably both. The fighting lasted for hours. Wave after wave of Germans. We held, barely. Artillery support from the beach eventually drove them back. The Germans retreated into the darkness. Now there's this eerie quiet, just the sound of wounded men moaning, the smell of cordite and blood and shit. Death has a smell, sweet and rotten at the same time. It gets in your nose and won't leave. Joe Toy is dead. I already wrote that yesterday, but it just fully hit me. He's dead, really dead. I'll never hear him curse again, never hear him complain about the food or the officers or anything else. He's just gone. We lost 3 more men in the counterattack. I didn't know them well. Replacements who joined the company in England. Kids, really. Barely trained. Now they're dead in French fields. And most people back home don't even know their names. One of them was hit by artillery. Direct hit. Like Joe Toy. There was nothing left, just pieces. I helped collect the pieces, put them in a poncho. Tried to treat them gently, like the person they used to be still mattered. My hands were shaking when I was done, not from fear, from something else. Rage, maybe. Or grief. Or both. How do you make sense of a human being reduced to fragments? How do you reconcile the person who was with the pieces they became? You don't. You can't. You just keep moving because stopping means thinking, and thinking means breaking. I'm so tired, beyond tired, exhausted to my bones, but I can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see things. The man in the tree, the German I shot, the pieces in the poncho. My mind won't turn off. Walter's asleep somehow, sprawled in the foxhole, mouth open, snoring softly. How he can sleep is beyond me. Maybe he's just better at compartmentalizing, better at being a soldier. I'm still trying to figure out how to do this, how to be afraid and brave at the same time, how to kill without losing yourself, how to watch friends die and keep functioning. There must be a way. Other men do it. Veterans who've been fighting for years. They survive somehow. Stay sane somehow. Maybe you just get numb. Maybe the horror becomes normal and you stop feeling it. That's a terrifying thought. That I might stop feeling, stop caring, stop being human in all the ways that matter. But maybe that's the only way to survive. The sky's starting to lighten, dawn coming, another day. How many more until this is over? Until we're relieved? Until we go back to England? Nobody knows. Could be days. Could be weeks. Right now, it feels like forever. We're supposed to move on Carentan soon. That's the next objective. A town about 10 miles south of here. Strategic crossroads. Connects Utah Beach and Omaha Beach. The Germans will defend it hard. It'll be brutal. But that's tomorrow's problem, or the next day's. Right now, I just need to get through this morning, then this afternoon, then tonight, one moment at a time. That's all any of us can do. June 8th, 1944. Afternoon, moving toward Carentan, slow progress, fighting for every field. The hedgerows are murder, can't see more than a few feet. Don't know where the enemy is until you're right on top of them. We've been in a dozen small firefights today. Lost 2 more men, wounded 5 others. This is attritional warfare. Grinding, exhausting, not the glorious charges you see in movies. Just brutal, dirty, close-range fighting in fields and ditches. My hands are shaking again, not from fear, from combat fatigue, from adrenaline burnout. I can't seem to hold my rifle steady. My vision keeps blurring. I'm jumping at every sound. Malarkey says it's normal. Says everyone gets it after a few days of continuous combat. Says I need to rest when I can. But there's no time to rest. We keep pushing forward, keep fighting. I'm seeing things that aren't there. Movement in the corner of my eye, shapes in the shadows. My mind playing tricks. Yesterday, I almost shot Walter. Thought he was a German. Finger on the trigger, ready to fire. He turned at the last second, and I saw his face and stopped. Came that close. Inches. A second. He didn't even realize. Just asked if I was okay. I lied and said yes. But I'm not okay. None of us are okay. We're operating on no sleep, constant fear, and the accumulated trauma of 3 days of combat. At some point, something's going to break. Either the Germans will break, or we will. Right now, it's a race to see which happens first. The French countryside is beautiful. That's the weird thing. Apple orchards in bloom, stone farmhouses, rolling fields. It would be picturesque if it wasn't full of people trying to kill each other. We passed through a village this morning. Most of the civilians had fled, but a few remained. An old woman gave us cider from her cellar. We drank it sitting in her garden while German artillery landed half a mile away. The contrast was surreal. This moment of normalcy, of kindness, of human connection. Then we finished the cider, thanked her, and went back to war. How do you explain that? How do you reconcile those two realities existing simultaneously? You can't. You just live them both and try not to think too hard about it. We got mail today. First mail since before the jump. Letters from before D-Day, from a different lifetime. 3 letters from Eleanor, all cheerful, all loving, all oblivious to what I've been through. Reading them hurt. Not in a bad way, just in a painful, longing way. She represents everything good that still exists in the world, everything worth fighting for, everything I might never get back to. She wrote about her job at the hospital, about helping wounded soldiers who'd come back from North Africa, about how proud she is of me. If she knew what I've done, what I've seen, what I've become, would she still be proud? I don't know. I wrote a short letter back, told her I was fine, that I was thinking of her, that I loved her. All true, but not the whole truth. The whole truth would break her heart. So I keep it to myself. That's what this notebook is for, the truth I can't tell anyone else. My brother Thomas wrote too. He's recovered from his wound, back with his unit in the Pacific. He asked how I was doing, asked if I'd seen combat yet. I laughed when I read that. A bitter laugh. If he only knew. But I can't tell him either. Can't compare experiences. Can't burden him with my war while he's fighting his own. So I'll write back something vague and reassuring, and he'll write back something vague and reassuring, and we'll both be lying to each other out of love. That's how war works. Everyone lying to everyone else to make it bearable. We're stopping for the night, digging in, setting up defensive positions. Carentan is close now, maybe 2 miles away. Tomorrow or the next day, we'll assault it. Urban combat. Building to building, room to room. The worst kind of fighting. Casualty rates in urban combat are astronomical. Everyone knows it. Nobody talks about it. We just prepare as best we can and hope we're lucky. Bull's shoulder is infected. The shrapnel wound from D-Day. Medic says he needs to go to an aid station, get it properly treated. Bull refused. Says he's staying with the company. Says he's fine. He's not fine. I can see him wincing when he moves, see the fever in his eyes, but he won't leave, won't abandon his brothers. That's the thing about this company, about these men. We don't leave each other, even when we should, even when it's smart. We're family now, bound by blood and fire and shared trauma. I'd die for Walter, for Bull, for Malarkey, for any of them. That's not hyperbole, it's just fact. I've known them for months. But I'd die for them. That's war too, creating bonds deeper than any you'll find in peacetime, because you've seen each other at your worst, seen each other scared and brave and breaking and strong, seen the truth of each other that most people hide their entire lives. I need to stop writing, need to try to sleep. Tomorrow's going to be bad, I can feel it. Karantan, urban combat, hell, but we'll do it together, that's something. See you on the other side. If there is one. June 9th, 1944, night. Briefing for Karantan tomorrow. We attack at dawn. The officers laid out the plan. We'll advance along multiple approaches. Company E is going in from the northeast. Other companies from different angles. The Germans are dug in. German 6th Parachute Regiment. Elite troops. Experienced. Dug into buildings. Prepared defenses. Is going to be a bloodbath. Everyone knows it. Nobody says it. Captain Winters tried to be encouraging. Talked about our training, our experience, our esprit de corps, but I could see it in his eyes. He knows what's coming. Malarkey pulled the squad together after the briefing, went over our specific role. We're in the first wave, leading the assault. Of course we are. He looked at each of us. Walter, Bull, me, the handful of others still standing from our original squad, the replacements who've joined us. This is going to be the hardest thing we've done yet, he said. Stick together. Watch each other. Don't take unnecessary risks. Do your job and come out alive. Then he paused. It's been an honor. There it is again. That phrase. It's been an honor. Goodbye disguised as a compliment. He thinks some of us won't make it through tomorrow. Maybe all of us. He might be right. Urban combat is a meat grinder. Statistics don't lie. In city fighting, attackers take massive casualties. Defenders have every advantage. We're the attackers. Do the math. I've spent the evening writing letters, just in case. Another letter to Eleanor, telling her I love her, telling her that if she's reading this, it means I didn't make it, and she should move on, live well, be happy. I sealed it and gave it to Malarkey. If I die tomorrow, he'll make sure it gets sent. Letter to my parents, thanking them for everything, telling them I'm proud to be their son, telling them to take care of Eleanor. Letter to Thomas, telling him to survive the Pacific, telling him I'm proud of him, telling him I hope he has better luck than I did. All sealed, all handed off, all ready, like I'm preparing my own eulogy. Maybe I am. The odds aren't good, I know that. I've seen what happens in urban combat. Buildings collapse, snipers pick you off, grenades in every window, machine guns in every doorway. It's chaos compressed into tight spaces where you can't maneuver, can't see, can't escape. But I'm going anyway, because that's my job, because my brothers are going, because refusing isn't an option, because I'm a soldier now, whether I wanted to be or not. I keep thinking about 5 days ago, June 4th, the night before we were supposed to jump, how scared I was then. That fear seems quaint now, innocent, the fear of someone who hadn't seen death up close, who hadn't killed, who hadn't watched friends die, that Jimmy Dalton is gone, dead as Joe Toye, dead as Charles Grant, dead as all the other boys who jumped into France expecting adventure and glory. In his place is someone harder, colder, more capable, more broken. I don't know if I like this person I've become, but he's useful. He can kill without hesitating, can see death without vomiting, can keep functioning when everything inside is screaming to run. He's a survivor, even if what he's surviving is gradually killing everything that made him human. Walter's cleaning his rifle for the 10th time tonight. Bull's sharpening his knife. Malarkey's checking ammunition counts. We're all preparing in our own ways, all making peace in our own ways. Nobody's sleeping. What's the point? We'll sleep when we're dead. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe the day after. Sooner or later, one of the replacements, a kid named Jackson, asked me what it's like. Combat, killing someone. I didn't know what to tell him. Finally, I said, it's not like anything. It's not noble or glorious or even particularly dramatic. It's just necessary. In the moment, you don't think, you just do. The thoughts come later. Does it get easier? He asked. No, I said. You just get better at living with it. He looked disappointed, like he wanted me to say something reassuring. But I'm done lying to make people feel better. The truth is ugly. War is ugly. Death is ugly. What we're doing is ugly. We dress it up with words like honor and duty and courage. And maybe those things exist somewhere in the ugliness. But mostly, it's just killing and dying and trying not to be the one who dies. That's the truth. That's what I've learned in 5 days of war. Everything else is propaganda. The moon's up, almost full. It'll be bright tomorrow. No darkness to hide in when we advance. The Germans will see us coming, every step. But we'll go anyway. Because that's what soldiers do. Follow orders, complete missions, die if necessary. I touched Eleanor's St. Christopher medal, said a prayer. Probably my 100th prayer since the jump. Not sure if anyone's listening, not sure if it matters. But it makes me feel better. Makes me feel like maybe someone's watching out for me. Even though I know that's probably not true. That good men are dying just as fast as bad men. That luck is random and death is arbitrary. Still, praying helps. So I pray. I should try to rest. Close my eyes even if I can't sleep. Tomorrow's going to be long, hard, bloody. But if I survive it, if I make it through, then I'm one day closer to going home. One day closer to Eleanor, to Reno, to peace. That's worth fighting for. Worth dying for, if it comes to that. Though I'd rather live for it. June 10th, 1944. Evening, I'm alive, barely. Carentan was hell, worse than hell. No words for what it was. We attacked at dawn like planned, advanced into the outskirts. The Germans were waiting, machine gun fire from every building, snipers on rooftops. Mortars landing in the streets, grenades thrown from windows. Men were cut down before we made it 50 yards. The street was chaos, smoke, screaming, buildings collapsing, fire everywhere. We fought building to building, room to room, sometimes inch by inch. I fired my rifle until the barrel was too hot to touch, used my pistol, used grenades, used anything I could find. At one point, I was fighting with a German soldier in a room, hand to hand, rolling on the floor, trying to strangle each other. He was stronger, he was winning. I couldn't breathe. My vision was going dark. Then Walter shot him, point blank, saved my life. We didn't even acknowledge it, just moved to the next room, kept fighting. The battle lasted all day, block by block. We pushed forward, the Germans pushed back, then we pushed forward again. Sergeant Malarkey was killed. Sniper, clean shot, he was giving orders 1 second, dead the next. I watched him fall, watched his blood pool on the cobblestones, watched the life leave his eyes. He was my squad leader, my friend. The man who kept us together, kept us alive, just gone. In a fraction of a second, Walter grabbed me, pulled me to cover, yelled something I couldn't hear over the gunfire. Then he took charge, became acting squad leader, started giving orders. Because someone had to, because the fight continued whether Malarkey was dead or not. We lost 19 men from Easy Company today. 19. Out of the 35 who linked up after the jump, more than half our company is gone. Dead, wounded, missing. The survivors are in shock, hollow-eyed, stumbling, barely functioning. But we took Carentan. We accomplished the objective. The town is ours. At what cost? At what fucking cost? 19 men, 19 lives, 19 families getting telegrams, 19 futures erased. For a town, for a road junction, for a strategic objective. Was it worth it? Did those men die for something real? I don't know. I can't think straight. My brain is mush. I'm in an aid station right now. Got shot through the leg. Bullet went through the meat of my calf. Missed the bone. Clean through and through. The medic patched me up. Gave me morphine. Said I'd be back with the company in a week. I don't want to go back. Don't want to see more friends die. Don't want to kill more people. Don't want any of this anymore. But I'll go back. Because that's what you do. because my brothers are still out there, because this war doesn't care what I want. The morphine is making everything soft, making everything distant. Malarkey's dead. His face keeps appearing in my mind. That look of surprise when the bullet hit, like he couldn't believe it, like death wasn't supposed to come for him. But death comes for everyone eventually, especially in war. Joe Touche, Charles Grant, Lieutenant Meehan, 19 others from today. The list keeps growing. Names I knew, faces I'll never see again, lives cut short. And I'm still here, still alive, still writing in this damn notebook. Why? Why me and not them? What makes me special? Nothing. Nothing makes me special. It's just luck. Random, arbitrary, meaningless luck. I could have been the one shot in that room. Walter could have been the one hit by the sniper. Bull could have caught a grenade. But we didn't. We survived. They didn't. No reason, no justice, no cosmic balance, just chance. Walter's alive. He's outside, organizing the men. Being a leader now. Bull's alive. His shoulders finally getting treated properly. The medic forced him to accept it. The two of them, my best friends in this hellhole, still standing. That's something. That's a lot, actually. But Malarkey's dead. And 19 others. I keep trying to process it. Keep trying to make sense of it. Keep failing. The morphine is pulling me under. I can feel it. The soft, warm darkness. Maybe I'll sleep. Maybe I'll dream of somewhere else. Somewhere safe. Maybe I'll dream of Eleanor. Of Reno. Of life before war. Or maybe I'll dream of Malarkey falling. Of the German I strangled. Of the bodies in the streets of Carentan. Probably the latter. Always the latter these days. War doesn't leave your mind when you close your eyes. It just changes form, becomes nightmares instead of reality. But nightmares are better than reality. At least nightmares end when you wake up. This reality just keeps going. Day after day, fight after fight, death after death. When does it end? When do we get to stop? I don't know. Nobody knows. We just keep fighting, keep surviving, keep watching friends die, until either the war ends or we do. That's all there is. I need to stop writing. The morphine is making my handwriting illegible. Malarkey's dead. I keep writing that, like writing it will make it real. Make it something I can accept. But I can't accept it. Can't process it. He was there. Now he's not. The absence is too big. Tomorrow, I'll have to accept it. Have to move on. Have to keep fighting. But tonight, with morphine in my veins and tears in my eyes, I'm allowed to grieve. I'm allowed to be human for a few hours. Before I have to be a soldier again. June 11th, 1944. Morning. Morphine wore off. Leg hurts. Everything hurts. Doctor came by. Said I'm healing well. Said I'll return to the company in a few days. Said I'm lucky. Through and through, missed major arteries, clean wound. Lucky. Right. The aid station is full of wounded. Men missing limbs. Men with sucking chest wounds. Men with burns covering half their bodies. And I'm lucky because I just got shot in the leg. Perspective is a hell of a thing. I talked to a sergeant from another company. He said the news from Carentan is all over. Big victory, strategic importance, connects the beaches. He said it was worth the casualties. Said we saved lives in the long run by taking that town quickly. Maybe he's right. Maybe Malarkey and the others died for a good reason, but they're still dead either way. And I still have to live with having seen it. I can't stop replaying it in my head. The sniper shot, Malarkey falling, his blood on the stones. Every time I close my eyes, I see it. Every time I try to rest, it comes back. The medic says it's normal. Combat fatigue, battle stress. Says it'll fade with time. I don't believe him. Some things don't fade. Some things just become part of you. Mail caught up again. 3 more letters from Eleanor. Written after D-Day but before she knew about Carentan. She's worried. She can tell from the news that something big is happening. She's heard about the invasion. She knows I'm probably in France. She says she prays for me every night. Says she trusts God to bring me home. Says she loves me more than anything. Reading her letters hurt in a different way than before. She's writing to someone who doesn't exist anymore. The Jimmy who left for war isn't the Jimmy who's reading these letters. I don't know if she'll recognize me when I come home. If I come home. I don't know if I'll recognize myself. I tried to write back, sat with paper and pen for an hour, couldn't find words. What do I say? How do I explain what I've seen, what I've done, what I've become? I can't, so I won't try. I'll write something vague and reassuring. I'll tell her I'm fine. I'll tell her I love her. I'll lie through omission and hope that's enough, because the truth would destroy her, and she doesn't need to carry my burden. Nobody does. That's what this notebook is for, to carry the truth so nobody else has to. Walter came by this afternoon, checked on me, brought me cigarettes and a newspaper. He looks older. We've only been in combat a week, but he looks 10 years older. He told me about the company, how they're reorganizing, bringing in replacements, preparing for whatever comes next. He's a sergeant now. Got Malarkey's position. He didn't want it, didn't ask for it, but someone had to do it, and he was next in line. That's how it works. Dead men create vacancies, living men fill them. The machine keeps running. I told him about the letters from Eleanor, about not knowing what to write back. He said, don't tell her the truth. Tell her what she needs to hear, that you're okay, that you're coming home, that you love her. But that's lying, I said. No, he said. That's kindness. There's a difference. Maybe he's right. Maybe protecting people from the truth is a kind of love. Or maybe it's just cowardice. I don't know anymore. Bull came by too. His shoulders bandaged properly now. He's on light duty for a few days. Looks annoyed about it. How you holding up? He asked. I've been better. He nodded. Didn't say anything for a minute. Then, Malarkey was a good man. Yeah, but he's gone, and we're still here. That's just how it is. Doesn't seem fair. Nothing about war is fair, Bull said. Fair would be none of us having to be here in the first place. He's right, of course, but knowing that doesn't make it easier. The three of us sat together for a while, didn't talk much, just existed in each other's presence. That's what friendship is in war. Not grand declarations or deep conversations, just being there, being alive together, bearing witness to each other's survival. They left after a while, had to get back to the company. I'm alone again now with my thoughts and my pain in my notebook. The war continues without me. Other men fighting, other men dying. The machine grinding forward regardless of individual suffering. In a few days, I'll return to it, rejoin the company, go back to the front, and the cycle will continue. Fight, survive. Watch friends die, fight again, until either the war ends or I do. That's all there is. That's all there's ever been. I miss home, miss Eleanor, miss the person I was before all this. But that person is dead, killed by war just as surely as Malarkey was killed by that bullet. In his place is this harder, colder, more broken version, this soldier who can kill without hesitation and see death without flinching. This is who I am now, for better or worse. The question is whether Eleanor can love this person, whether my family can recognize this person, whether I can live as this person after the war ends. I don't know. Nobody knows until they try. All I can do is survive, keep putting one foot in front of the other, keep fighting, keep living, until I can't anymore. That's the only plan there is. June 13th, 1944. Afternoon. Return to the company today. Legs still sore but functional. Everything's changed in 2 days. New faces everywhere. Replacements filling the gaps left by the dead. They look so young, so fresh, so innocent, like we must have looked a week ago, before D-Day, before quarantine, before we learned what war really is. I want to warn them, want to tell them what's coming, want to prepare them. But you can't prepare someone for war, not really. You can train them, teach them tactics, drill them on procedures, but the reality of combat, the visceral horror of it, that can only be learned by living through it. So I don't say anything, just nod at them, try to remember their names, know that some of them will be dead before I learn them. Walter's doing well as sergeant, natural leader, men respect him, he's calm under fire, makes good decisions, Malarkey would be proud, though I wish Malarkey was still here to see it. Bull's back on full duty, shoulder healed enough. He claims it doesn't hurt, but I can see him wince when he moves certain ways. Stubborn bastard, stubborn, tough, indispensable bastard. The three of us are the core now. The survivors, the veterans, the ones the new guys look to for guidance. It's a strange feeling. A week ago, I was the nervous new guy. Now I'm the experienced veteran. That's how fast war ages you. Days feel like months. A week feels like a lifetime. Captain Winters called us together for a briefing. We're staying in quarantine area for now. Defensive positions. Waiting for the front to stabilize. Waiting for the next Push. Rumors say we'll be pulled back to England soon. The division's been in continuous combat for longer than planned. We were supposed to fight for 3 days. It's been 8. Men are exhausted. Casualties are high. We need rest and replacements and reorganization. But nobody knows for sure. Rumors are just rumors. Could be tomorrow. Could be a month from now. Either way, we're here until we're not. Fighting until we're told to stop. That's the military way. Hurry up and wait. Fight and rest. Live and die at someone else's command. I visited the temporary cemetery today. Rows of white crosses in a muddy field. They buried the dead from Carentan here. Quick graves marked with dog tags and rifles. Found Malarkey's cross. Stood there for a while. Didn't know what to say. Finally, I told him I'd watch out for the guys. That I'd try to keep them alive. That I'd remember him. Not sure if it meant anything. Dead men don't hear prayers. But it felt important to say it anyway. Joe Toye is buried there too. And the 19 others from Easy Company. And hundreds more from other units. So much death packed into such a small space. So many lives ended. So many futures erased. And this is just one cemetery. One tiny piece of one battle. One small corner of the war. Multiply this by 1,000, by 10,000, by 1,000,000. That's what war is. Industrial scale death. Systematic destruction of human life. And we're the machines doing the destroying. Following orders. Completing missions. Filling cemeteries. It's too big to comprehend. So I focus on the small things. My squad, my friends, the men whose names I know. That's all I can handle. Anything bigger, and my mind shuts down. Went back to the company area after the cemetery. Found a letter waiting. From my mother. She wrote about home, about my sisters growing up, about the war bonds drive at church, about Eleanor coming by for dinner, normal life continuing without me, the world turning despite the war. It's comforting and painful at the same time. Comforting to know life goes on. Painful to be reminded what I'm missing. Mom said she prays for me and Thomas every night, said she lights candles at church, said she knows God will protect us. I don't have the heart to tell her that God isn't protecting anyone, that good men are dying just as fast as bad men, that prayer is just a comfort for the living, not a shield for the fighting. But I won't tell her that. I'll let her believe, because faith is all she has. Taking that away would be cruel. So I'll write back and thank her for the prayers, and I'll pretend they're helping. Another lie, another kindness, another way of protecting people from truth. Maybe that's what love is in wartime. Protecting people from the parts of reality they don't need to bear. Thomas wrote too. Short letter. He's back in combat, island fighting. Won't say where due to censorship. But reading between the lines, it sounds brutal. He asked how I'm doing. Really asked. Not the casual question most people ask, but genuine concern. I'll write him back honestly, or as honestly as I can. He's fighting too. He understands. I don't need to protect him from the truth the way I protect Mom and Eleanor. Sometimes you need someone who gets it, who's seen what you've seen, who can bear witness without judging or pitying or trying to fix it. That's what brothers are for, even when they're half a world away. The sun's going down. Another day survived. Another day closer to whenever this ends. The company's settling in for the night. Guard rotations, weapon cleaning, the routines of military life. Somewhere in the distance, I can hear gunfire. Sporadic. Probably a patrol making contact. Or nerves firing at shadows. The war continues. Always continues. Never stops. Even when you're not fighting, someone somewhere is fighting. Someone is dying. The machine keeps grinding. Tomorrow we'll train the replacements. Teach them what we've learned. Prepare them as best we can. Knowing it won't be enough. Nothing's ever enough. But we'll try anyway. Because that's what you do. You pass on what you know. You hope it helps. You accept that it probably won't. And you keep going. Because stopping isn't an option. One day at a time. 1 hour. 1 minute. That's all we have. That's all anyone has. June 15th, 1944. Evening. Church service this morning. In the ruins of a French church. Half the roof gone. Pews splintered. Stained glass shattered. But Father Maloney held services anyway. Called it Sunday Mass, even though half the men aren't Catholic. Didn't matter. We all went. Catholics, Protestants, Jews, atheists, Everyone. Not for religion, really, for community, for a moment of peace, for something that felt normal. Father Maloney talked about sacrifice, about purpose, about how the men who died weren't dying in vain. I wanted to believe him, tried to believe him, but sitting there in that destroyed church surrounded by men who might be dead next week, it was hard to find meaning. Malarkey died for a road junction. Joe Toya died in an artillery strike that was probably random. Charles Grant died somewhere somehow, for reasons we'll never know. Where's the meaning in that? Where's the purpose? Father Maloney says it's in the larger cause, defeating fascism, liberating Europe, protecting freedom. Maybe he's right. Maybe if you zoom out far enough, all this death adds up to something noble. But zoomed in, at ground level, it's just death. Random, brutal, senseless death. Still, I stayed for the whole service, sang the hymns, said the prayers, took communion even though I'm not Catholic, because it mattered to the other men, because Father Maloney's trying to help in the only way he knows how, because we all need something to hold on to, even if that something is just ritual and routine and the illusion of divine protection. After the service, Walter, Bull, and I sat together outside the church. Didn't talk much, just sat in the sun, sharing cigarettes. Bull broke the silence. You think we'll make it through this? Walter considered. Some of us will. Which ones? Bull asked. No way to know, Walter said. That's what makes it hard. I looked at them, my best friends, the men I'd trust with my life, the men I have trusted with my life. I want it to be all of us, I said. Yeah, Walter said quietly. Me too. But we all knew the odds. We'd seen the casualty lists. We'd buried too many friends. Statistically, probably one of us wouldn't make it home. Maybe two, maybe all three. The math of war is cruel and indifferent. If I don't make it, Bull said, tell my family I died doing my job, that I wasn't scared, that it was quick. Even if it's not true? Walter asked. Especially if it's not true, Bull said. We made a pact then. If any of us dies, the others will write the letters. We'll tell the families what they need to hear. We'll carry the memories forward. It's morbid, planning your own eulogies, but also necessary. Because death isn't abstract anymore. It's real and close and likely. Better to prepare for it than be caught off guard. I want Eleanor to know I loved her, I said. That thinking about her kept me going. That she was the best thing in my life. We'll tell her, Walter promised. And tell her to move on, I added. Don't wait forever. Live her life. Be happy. Jesus, Jimmy, Walter said. You're not dead yet. Stop planning your funeral. But I need to plan it. Need to prepare. Need to make sure that if I die, something of me survives, even if it's just words in a letter. That's why I keep writing in this notebook. To leave something behind, to prove I existed, to show that I was here, I felt things, I mattered, even if only to a few people. A replacement named Peterson asked me this afternoon what combat's really like. He's 19, from Iowa, corn farmer's son, joined up because he wanted to see the world. Well, he's seeing it now, just not the parts anyone wants to see. I didn't know what to tell him. How do you explain combat to someone who hasn't experienced it? Finally, I said, it's loud and confusing and terrifying. Everything happens too fast and too slow at the same time. You won't remember most of it clearly. Just fragments, flashes. You'll do things you didn't know you could do. You'll be braver and more scared than you've ever been. And afterward, you'll wonder if any of it was real or if you dreamed it. He looked more confused than before. That doesn't help. I know, I said. Nothing helps until you go through it yourself. Will I be okay? He asked. I wanted to lie, wanted to reassure him, but I couldn't. I don't know, I said. Maybe, maybe not. Just do your job. Trust your training. Watch out for the men next to you. That's all you can control. He walked away looking more worried than before. Maybe I should have lied, given him false confidence. But we've had too many lies already. Someone needs to tell the truth. Even if it's uncomfortable. War isn't glorious. Soldiers aren't heroes. We're just scared kids trying not to die while following orders. The sooner the replacements understand that, the better their chances of survival. Training the replacements is strange. 2 weeks ago, I was one of them. Now I'm the veteran passing on hard-won knowledge. What do I know after 1 week of combat? Not much, but more than them. I know how to move through hedgerows without silhouetting yourself. I know what different weapons sound like so you can identify them in the dark. I know how to check a building for German soldiers. I know how to tell if someone's really dead or just wounded. Small, practical things. Things that might keep them alive an extra day or week. It's not enough. Nothing's ever enough. But it's what I have to give. Walter's better at teaching than I am. Patient, clear. He breaks down complex tasks into simple steps, makes sure everyone understands before moving on. Bull just demonstrates. Watch, he says, then shows them how to do something. Expects them to learn by observation. Different styles, all useful. We're trying to compress weeks of lessons into days, trying to prepare them for something you can't really prepare for, knowing that some of them will die anyway, that all our teaching might buy them an extra hour or day but won't save them. That's the futility of it. We're just delaying the inevitable for some of them, but we try anyway, because what else can we do? The rumor about returning to England is getting stronger. Multiple sources, officers dropping hints, logistics people making preparations. Could be a week, could be 2. But it's coming. Back to England. To rest. To refit. To absorb replacements and train them properly. And then, eventually, back to combat. Another mission, another jump, another battle. The war isn't over just because we're tired, just because we've done our part. The machine keeps grinding, we're just cogs in it. But for now, the possibility of England is something to hold on to, something to look forward to. Clean beds, hot food, mail from home, safety. Even temporary safety sounds like paradise. I'm tired, so tired. Not just physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, tired of fighting, tired of death, tired of fear, tired of being tired, but I'll keep going. Because Walter and Bull are keeping going, because the company needs everyone, because quitting isn't an option. You just keep going until you can't, and then you keep going anyway. That's what war teaches you. Endurance. The ability to push past every limit you thought you had. You're more capable than you knew, and more broken than you realized. Both things can be true. The sun setting, beautiful sunset tonight, orange and pink and purple streaking across the sky. How can the world be so beautiful while containing so much ugliness? I don't understand, don't think I ever will, but I can appreciate the sunset anyway, can be grateful for this moment of peace. Can exist in the contradiction without resolving it. Maybe that's growth, maybe that's wisdom. Or maybe I'm just too tired to care about philosophical consistency. Either way, it's a nice sunset, and I'm alive to see it. That's enough for today. June 18th, 1944, morning. Official word came this morning. We're pulling out. Back to England July 10th. 3 weeks from now. 3 more weeks in France. Then relief. The reaction was mixed. Relief at the prospect of leaving. Worry about 3 more weeks of combat. Questions about what comes after. Because we all know rest is temporary. There will be another mission eventually, another battle, another chance to die. But that's future worry. Right now, we focus on surviving 3 more weeks. Captain Winters addressed the company, thanked us for our service, praised our performance, reminded us to stay sharp until the end. Don't get complacent, he said. More men die in the last days before rotation than any other time. Stay alert, stay alive, get home. Good advice. Hard to follow. After 8 days of combat, then a week of relative quiet, it's easy to relax, to let your guard down, to think you've made it. That's when you die, when you think you're safe. So we stay vigilant. We run patrols, we man defensive positions. We treat every moment like combat could start again. Because it could. The Germans are still out there, still fighting, still trying to kill us. The war doesn't pause just because we're tired. I wrote to Eleanor this morning. Long letter. Tried to explain without really explaining. Told her I'd been in combat, that I was okay, that I'd be coming back to England soon for rest. Told her I thought about her every day, that she was what kept me going, that I couldn't wait to see her again someday. Didn't tell her about Malarkey or Joe Toy or the 19 others. Didn't tell her about the German I killed in hand-to-hand combat. Didn't tell her about the nightmares or the shaking hands or the way I jump at loud noises now. Protected her from the truth, just like Walter said. Gave her what she needed to hear. Is that love or cowardice? Still can't decide. Maybe both. Maybe they're not mutually exclusive. I also wrote to Malarkey's mother, hardest letter I've ever written, told her that her son was a great leader, that he died instantly, didn't suffer, that he saved lives with his leadership, that everyone in the company respected him. All true, also incomplete. Didn't mention the fear we all felt. The chaos of Carentan, the randomness of his death, gave her a version she could live with, a version that might provide some comfort. The truth would have destroyed her, so I gave her the gentle version. Another lie, another kindness. Walter and Bull wrote letters too, to the families of men who died under their command, trying to provide comfort, trying to give meaning to meaningless deaths. We're all becoming skilled liars, skilled at crafting narratives that soften reality, that make war seem noble instead of brutal, that give purpose to chaos. Maybe that's necessary. Maybe the families need those lies to survive their grief. Or maybe we're doing them a disservice, perpetuating myths about war that make it easier for the next generation to march off to die. I don't know. The ethics of wartime lying are beyond me. I just know that telling Malarkey's mother the full truth would have been cruel. So I softened it, made it bearable. Right or wrong, it's done. Training continues with the replacements. They're improving, learning fast. The best training is knowing that combat could start again any moment. Peterson, the Iowa farm boy, is doing well. Natural rifle shot, steady under pressure. He might actually survive. Or he might be dead tomorrow. No way to predict. Another kid, Williams from Texas, is struggling, nervous, jumpy, hesitates too long before acting. Those hesitations will get him killed. We're trying to train it out of him. Not sure if we can. Some people are built for combat, others aren't. Williams might be in the latter category, but he doesn't get to leave. He's here, he'll fight, and he'll probably die. That's the tragedy. Not everyone can be a soldier, but everyone gets drafted anyway. The machine doesn't care about individual capability. It just needs bodies to feed into the grinder. Williams is a body, Peterson is a body, I'm a body. Some bodies come out the other side, others don't. That's all there is. Bull's been teaching hand-to-hand combat, showing the replacements how to fight when you're out of ammunition, how to use a knife, how to kill someone quietly. Practical skills, grim skills, necessary skills. I watched him demonstrate on a dummy. Quick, efficient, brutal. He makes it look easy. Then he had the replacements practice. They were clumsy, hesitant, uncomfortable with the violence of it. You'll be uncomfortable right up until the moment you need to do it, Bull told them. Then instinct takes over. You'll do what you have to do. He's right. I know he's right. I've experienced it. But watching these kids practice killing techniques, knowing some of them will use these skills on real people, makes me sick. This is what we're doing. Training children to be killers. Systematically removing their hesitations about violence, necessary for survival. But horrifying when you step back and look at it. We're creating monsters. Efficient, capable, controlled monsters. And calling it duty. The weather's been nice. Clear skies, warm sun. Almost feels like summer vacation if you ignore the war. Some guys have been swimming in a nearby stream, others playing baseball with improvised equipment, trying to maintain some normalcy. I watched for a while but didn't join. Can't quite make myself relax like that. Can't turn off the vigilance. Maybe after we get back to England. Maybe after some real rest. Maybe never. War changes you. Makes relaxation feel dangerous. Makes peace feel like a trap. Don't know if I'll ever feel truly safe again, even in England, even after the war ends, even back home with Eleanor. There's a part of me now that's always waiting for the next attack, always expecting violence, always prepared to fight. That part won't turn off, might never turn off. That's what war does. It rewires your brain, changes your baseline, makes survival mode permanent. I used to think veterans were being dramatic when they talked about never feeling safe again. Now I understand. The danger might end, but the feeling of danger doesn't. It becomes who you are. 3 more weeks, 21 days, 504 hours. Not that I'm counting, but I am. We all are. Counting down until we can leave this place, until we can stop fighting, until we can rest. Just 3 more weeks, then England, then safety, then whatever comes after. One day at a time, one patrol, one guard shift, one sunrise, until we're out of here. June 22nd, 1944, night. 4 days since I last wrote. Nothing significant happened, which is why I didn't write. Strange how nothing happening feels like an achievement now. How boring days are the good days. No combat, no casualties, just routine patrols and guard duty and training. Blessed, boring normalcy. This is what I wanted 2 weeks ago, what I prayed for. Just peace, just surreal, just ordinary days. Now I have it and I don't know what to do with it. I'm restless, anxious, waiting for something bad to happen. Can't relax into the quiet. Walter says it's normal. Says everyone feels it after intense combat. The calm is harder than the storm in some ways. During combat, you're too busy to think, too focused on survival. Adrenaline carries you through. But in the quiet, you have time to think, time to remember, time to process. And processing is painful. I've been having nightmares. Every night, same themes, falling through darkness, Malarkey getting shot, the German I fought in that room, the bodies in quarantine. I wake up gasping, heart racing, covered in sweat. Takes a while to remember where I am, to convince myself I'm safe. Then I lie awake, afraid to go back to sleep, afraid of what I'll see. I'm not the only one. I can hear other guys having nightmares, crying out in their sleep, waking up scared. We don't talk about it during the day, maintain the tough soldier facade. But at night, the masks come off. The trauma leaks out. Father Maloney says it's our minds trying to heal. Processing what we've been through. Working through the horror. He says it'll get better with time. Says eventually the nightmares will fade. I hope he's right. But I'm not convinced. Some things are too big to process. Too horrific to integrate. Maybe the nightmares never stop. Maybe this is just who we are now. Haunted, men living half in the present, half in the past we can't escape. The replacements are getting better, more confident, more capable. We've drilled them hard for the past week and it's showing. Williams, the nervous kid from Texas, is improving. Still hesitant, but faster now. Might survive if he's lucky. Peterson continues to impress. Natural soldier. I've recommended him for promotion. Not that it matters much. We'll all be back in England soon anyway. But it feels important to acknowledge skill, to recognize competence, to reward the ones who learn fast. Maybe it'll help them survive the next battle, the next mission, the next war, because there will be a next. Even after we beat Germany, even after Europe is liberated, there's still Japan, still the Pacific, still my brother Thomas fighting in jungles half a world away. The war doesn't end for me just because I leave France. It ends when everyone comes home. When the last soldier is discharged, when the last battle is fought. Until then, we're all still at war. Even the ones resting, even the ones safe in England, even the ones back home. War isn't a place, it's a condition, and we're all living in it. I got a letter from my sister Mary today. She's 16 now, growing up fast. She wrote about school and friends and a boy she likes. Normal teenage things, sweet, innocent things. Reading her letter made me ache. She's living in a completely different world than me. A world where the biggest problems are algebra tests and where the boys notice you. I can barely remember that world. Can barely imagine caring about things that small. 2 weeks ago, I was 22. Now, I feel 50. Aged decades and days. Hollowed out and filled with things no 16-year-old should know about. Mary asked when I'm coming home. Asked if I've seen any action. Asked if it's exciting. I don't know how to answer. When am I coming home? No idea. Years from now, if I'm lucky. Have I seen action? More than I wanted. Is it exciting? Only if terror and death and watching friends die counts as excitement. But I can't tell her that. Can't burden her with the truth. She's 16. She should get to stay innocent a little longer. So I'll write back something vague and reassuring. Tell her I'm fine. Tell her war is boring mostly. Tell her I'll be home someday. More lies. More kindness. More protection of people who don't need to know. My little sister Ruth wrote too. She's 14, even more innocent than Mary. She drew me a picture, a crayon drawing of our house in Reno with the whole family standing in front, including me in uniform. She titled it, When Jimmy Comes Home. I stared at that drawing for a long time, at the simple lines and bright colors, at the smiling stick figures, at the naive hope of it. I want to be that smiling stick figure. Want to go home and stand in front of that house with my family and everything be okay. But I don't know if I can. Don't know if the man who goes home will fit in that picture, will fit in that life. The Jimmy in Ruth's drawing isn't haunted, isn't broken, isn't carrying the weight of dead friends and killed enemies. He's just her big brother, home from an adventure. Everything's simple and happy. I want to be him, but I don't think I can anymore. Still, I'll keep the drawing, carry it with me, let it remind me what I'm fighting for, what I'm trying to get back to, even if I never quite get there. Bull organized a poker game tonight. High stakes, real money. I played for a while, won a few hands, lost more, didn't really care about the money, just needed something to do, some distraction from the thoughts circling in my head. Walter cleaned me out with a straight flush. Bastard. He was grinning like an idiot when he raked in the pot. That's for saving my life in quarantine, I said. Saving your life is its own reward, he said. The money's just a bonus. We laughed. Actually laughed. First real laugh in days. It felt strange. Foreign. Like I'd forgotten how. But also good. Necessary. Human. Maybe that's healing. Small moments of normalcy breaking through the trauma. Laughter finding space between the horror. Or maybe it's just denial. Temporary escape before reality crashes back in. Either way, I'll take it. Bull told a story about his childhood in Arkansas. Something about a pig and a fence and a very angry farmer. I couldn't follow all the details because he was laughing too hard to tell it straight. But we all laughed anyway because Bull laughing was funny in itself. Because it felt good to laugh about something innocent and stupid. Because we needed it. The game broke up around midnight. I'm back in my bunk now, writing by candlelight. The barracks are quiet except for snoring and the occasional nightmare cry. Tomorrow will be another day of training and patrols and waiting. Another day closer to England. Another day survived. That's all we can ask for. Another day. One after another. Until they add up to going home. Or until they run out. 16 more days until we leave France. Then however many more until the war ends. Then however many more until I figure out how to live with what I've seen and done. Counting days. That's all I do now. Count days and try to survive them. Not much of a life. But it's what I have. And it's more than Malarkey has. More than Joe Toya has. More than the 19 others have. I'm alive. That's something. That's everything. I need to remember that. Need to be grateful for it. Even when the nightmares come. Even when the memories hurt. Even when I don't recognize myself anymore. I'm alive. And tomorrow, I'll try to stay that way. June 28th, 1944. Evening. Official word today. We're leaving for England on July 10th. Confirmed. Final. 12 more days. Less than 2 weeks. Then we're out of here. The relief was palpable. Men actually cheering when Captain Winters announced it. First real celebration since we took quarantine. 12 days. We can do 12 days. We've already done 22. 12 more is nothing. Except it's everything, because now we know when it ends. Now we have a finish line, and that makes it both easier and harder. Easier because there's hope, light at the end of the tunnel, a specific date to count down to. Harder because now every day feels more dangerous. Every patrol feels like tempting fate. Every moment feels like the universe might take it away. Captain Winter's warning from before echoes in my head. More men die in the last days before rotation than any other time. Don't get complacent. Don't relax. Don't assume you've made it. 12 more days. An eternity and a heartbeat. I spent part of the afternoon at the temporary cemetery again, visiting Malarkey and Joe Toy and the others. Told them we were leaving, that we'd survived, that we'd made it. Felt guilty saying it. Survivor's guilt, I guess. Why did I make it when they didn't? What makes me special? Nothing. Nothing makes me special. Just luck. Random chance. The same chaos that killed them let me live. There's no meaning in it. No justice, no cosmic balance, just chance. I left Walter's lucky dice on Malarkey's grave. He won't need them in England, and Malarkey might as well have them wherever he is. Superstitious maybe, but it felt right. Bull came with me to the cemetery. We stood together in silence for a while. Finally, he said, they'd want us to make it, want us to go home, live for them. Yeah, I said, I know. So we will. Simple as that for Bull. We'll live because the dead would want us to. We'll carry them forward by surviving. Maybe he's right. Maybe that's how you honor the dead, by living fully, by not wasting the life they gave us by dying. But it's a heavy burden, carrying their memories, living for them and yourself, making your survival mean something. I'm not sure I'm strong enough, but I'll try. Back at the company area, men are already packing, cleaning gear, writing letters, preparing mentally for England. The energy is different, lighter, more hopeful. Like we can finally breathe again, but I'm still cautious, still waiting for the other shoe to drop, still expecting something to go wrong. 12 days is a long time in war. Anything can happen. So I'm not celebrating yet, not relaxing, not assuming anything, just focusing on one day at a time, one patrol, one guard shift, one moment, until we're actually on the trucks heading to the port, until we're actually on the ships heading to England, until we're actually safe. Then I'll celebrate. Then I'll relax. Then I'll let myself believe I made it. But not before. Peterson asked me today what England's like. He arrived in France straight from the States. Never saw our base there. I told him it's green and wet and peaceful, that the English people are kind, that there are pubs with warm beer and fish and chips, that you can sleep without expecting mortars. He looked excited, like a kid talking about Christmas. I hope England lives up to his expectations. Hope it's the sanctuary we're all imagining, but I'm also worried. Worried that after 3 weeks of combat, England won't feel safe anymore, that nowhere will feel safe, that the war has gotten so deep inside us that peace will feel wrong. I guess we'll find out. Walter got promoted, official promotion to staff sergeant, Malarkey's old rank. He deserves it. He's been doing the job well, leading men, making tough decisions, keeping people alive. But he looked sad when they announced it, because he earned it through death, because Malarkey had to die for Walter to get promoted. That's how it works. Dead men create opportunities. The living advance over the bodies of the fallen. It's grotesque when you think about it, but that's war. Grotesque and necessary and unavoidable. I congratulated him, told him Malarkey would be proud, that he'd earned it. He just nodded, didn't say much, didn't need to. We both know the cost, we both carry the weight. Bull's getting a medal, Bronze Star for valor. For his actions during the Carentan assault, he's embarrassed about it. Doesn't think he did anything special, just his job. But he saved lives, led men under fire, did things most people couldn't do. He deserves recognition, even if he doesn't want it. I'm getting promoted too, to corporal. Not a big jump, but something. Don't feel like I've earned it. Feel like I've just survived while better men died. But orders are orders. So I'll wear the stripes and do the job and try not to think too hard about how I got here. The company is reorganizing completely. New command structure, new squad assignments, integrating the replacements fully. It's necessary. We lost too many men. The old structure doesn't work anymore. But it's also sad, because it's erasing the last remnants of who we were, replacing the company that jumped on D-Day with something new. The veterans are scattered now, diluted among the replacements. Our shared experience spread thin. Soon we'll just be another infantry company. Not the band of brothers who survived the invasion. That version of Easy Company died in Normandy. What's left? The survivors building something new from the ashes. Maybe that's okay. Maybe that's necessary. Moving forward instead of dwelling in the past. But I'll miss it. Miss what we were. Miss the men we were with. Even though what we were was terrified and traumatized and barely holding together. At least we were together. Training continues. The replacements are nearly ready. Good thing too. We leave in 12 days whether they're ready or not. They'll have to be ready, or they'll die in the next battle. That's the brutal truth. Ready or not, they fight. Survive or die. No middle ground. I've done what I can to prepare them. Taught them everything I know. 12 days of experience condensed into lessons. It's not enough. but it's what I have to give. The rest is up to them. And luck. And God if he's paying attention. Which I increasingly doubt. If God was paying attention, good men like Malarkey wouldn't die. Kids like Charles Grant wouldn't disappear. Senseless violence wouldn't grind on day after day. But maybe that's not how God works. Maybe he doesn't intervene, just watches, grieves, waits for us to stop killing each other. I don't know. Theology seems pointless when you're trying not to die. I just know I'm tired, ready to leave, ready for this to be over. 12 more days. I can do 12 more days. We all can. We have to. July 3rd, 1944. Night. We're back in England. Left France 3 days ago. Trucks to the port. Ships across the channel. Trucks to the base. We're back. I'm writing this from my bunk at camp. A real bunk. With a mattress. In a dry building. With no one shooting at me. It feels surreal. 27 days. That's how long we were in Normandy. 27 days of combat, fear, death, survival. It felt like years. It felt like minutes. Time stopped meaning anything normal. But now we're here, safe, in England, away from the fighting, and I don't know what to feel. Relief, obviously, gratitude, exhaustion, but also guilt, numbness, disconnection. The men who died are still in France. Malarkey, Joe Toye, Charles Grant, all the others. Still buried in French fields. We left them there. Came back to safety while they stay in the ground. That doesn't sit right. Even though it's illogical, even though there's nothing else we could do, it feels like abandonment. The trip back was strange, surreal. Like watching yourself from outside your body. We boarded the trucks and drove through Norman countryside, past villages we'd fought for, past fields where men died, past landmarks that meant something in the chaos but look ordinary now. Then to the coast, past Utah Beach. You can still see the wreckage, destroyed landing craft, burned vehicles, the debris of invasion. But it's quiet now, secured, safe. The battle moved inland weeks ago. Hard to believe that a month ago this beach was hell on earth. Now it's just a beach. The ships were crowded. Men from multiple units or ponto units all rotating back. Everyone quiet, exhausted, lost in private thoughts. I stood on the deck as we pulled away, watched France recede, watched the coast disappear into mist, thought about everything that happened there, everyone we lost there, everything we left behind. Walter stood next to me, didn't say anything, just stood there, watching with me. Finally he said, "We made it." Yeah. Feels weird. Yeah. That's all there was to say. We made it. Against the odds. Against everything. We survived. Bull slept most of the crossing. First real sleep in a month. He looked peaceful, almost normal. I couldn't sleep. Too wired, too alert, too used to expecting attack. So I just stood on deck and watched the water and tried to process. England appeared out of the mist like a dream. Green hills, white cliffs, safety. Men actually cheered when we saw land. First time I'd seen real joy in weeks. We docked, disembarked, formed up, marched to trucks, drove to base. The whole time, I kept waiting for something to go wrong, for Germans to appear, for bombs to fall, for the war to follow us. But nothing happened. We just came back. Safe. Whole. Alive. The base looks the same. Like we never left. Like the past month didn't happen. But everything's different. We're different. The men who left for Normandy aren't the men who came back. We look the same on the outside, but inside we're changed. Altered at some fundamental level. We've seen too much, done too much, lost too much. We can't go back to who we were. That person is dead. They gave us 3 days leave before training starts again. 3 days to rest, recover, try to remember how to be human. Most guys went to town, found pubs, got drunk, tried to forget. I stayed on base. Couldn't face civilians yet. Couldn't pretend to be normal. Couldn't make small talk with people who have no idea. So I stayed here, slept, ate, wrote letters, tried to process, wrote to Eleanor. Long letter, still couldn't tell her everything, but told her more than before. Told her I'd been in combat, that it was hard, that I'd lost friends, that I'd changed. Told her I still loved her, still wanted to marry her, still wanted to come home. but also warned her, said I was different now, said I didn't know if I could be the person she remembered, asked if she could love the person I'd become. Even if that person was damaged, broken, haunted, she deserves to know, deserves to prepare, deserves the choice. I won't trap her in a marriage to someone she doesn't recognize. Wrote to my parents, told them I was back in England, safe, resting, didn't tell them about the nightmares, the guilt, the weight of it all. Just reassured them, let them believe I was okay, because they can't fix it anyway, can't undo what happened, can't heal what's broken. So why burden them? Wrote to Thomas, told him the truth, or most of it. Told him about D-Day, about quarantine, about losing half the company, asked how he was doing. If he was experiencing the same thing, if it ever gets easier, he'll understand. He's fighting too. He knows. Sometimes you need someone who knows, who's been there, who doesn't need explanations. That's what I need right now. Someone who gets it. Bull and Walter do. The other veterans do. We don't have to explain to each other. We just exist together in our shared brokenness. Bear witness to each other's survival. That helps. Not much, but some. The nightmares continue. Every night, same themes, different details, falling, dying, watching friends die, killing, being killed. I wake up gasping, disoriented, take several minutes to remember where I am, that I'm safe. Then I lie awake, afraid to go back to sleep. The medics say it's normal, combat fatigue, battle stress, post-traumatic something or other. They say it'll fade with time and rest. I hope they're right. But I'm not convinced. Some things you don't recover from. Some experiences are too big to integrate, too traumatic to process. Maybe I'll carry this forever. Maybe the nightmares never stop. Maybe this is just who I am now. A man haunted by war, unable to sleep, unable to relax, unable to forget. If that's true, I need to figure out how to live with it, how to function despite it, how to be a person worth loving despite it. Because I want to go home, want to marry Eleanor, want a life, but I need to figure out if that's possible first. If I can be a husband, a son, a brother while carrying all this. I don't know, but I have time to figure it out. The war isn't over. We'll be here for weeks at least, maybe months, training, recovering, preparing for the next mission, because there will be a next mission. This isn't over. Germany's still fighting. The war continues. We're just arresting, temporarily, before going back in. That knowledge sits heavy, like a countdown, like a sword hanging over everything. We survived Normandy, but what's next? Another invasion? Another airborne operation? Another bloodbath? Nobody knows. Officers aren't saying. Maybe they don't know either. We just wait, recover what we can, prepare as best we can, and try not to think too much about the fact that we'll probably go through this all again. More combat, more death, more friends lost. That's the future. Inevitable. Unavoidable. Unless the war ends first. Unless Germany surrenders. Unless some miracle happens. But I'm not counting on miracles. Miracles didn't save Malarkey, didn't save Joe Toy, didn't save the others. So I'll plan for the worst. Hope for the best. Try to survive whatever comes next. One day at a time. That's all I can do. Today, I'm in England. I'm safe. I'm alive. Tomorrow might be different. But I'll deal with tomorrow when it comes. For now, this is enough. July 10th, 1944. Afternoon. A week in England. Starting to feel semi-normal again. The nightmares are less frequent. Still there, but not every night. Progress, I guess. I've been sleeping more. Real sleep, not just exhausted collapse. My body is remembering what rest feels like. Food helps. Real food, not rations. The mess hall seems like a 5-star restaurant after a month of sea rations and whatever we could scavenge. I've gained back some of the weight I lost. My hands are steadier, my mind is clearer, physical recovery is happening, mental recovery is slower, but I'm getting there. We're all getting there. Walter's doing better too. He's been going to town most evenings, meeting girls, acting like a normal 23-year-old soldier on leave. I'm glad he can do that. Glad he can compartmentalize. Glad he can be normal. I'm not there yet, but watching him helps. Shows me it's possible. That you can carry the war and still have moments of normalcy. Bull's been working out obsessively, running, lifting weights, pushing his body, his way of coping. Physical exertion, staying strong, preparing for next time. Everyone copes differently. Walter escapes into normalcy. Bull prepares for more war. I write and think and try to process. None of us are wrong. We're just surviving in our own ways. Mail finally caught up fully. Well, weeks worth of letters all at once. 5 letters from Eleanor. Each one more worried than the last. She'd heard about D-Day, about casualties, about the 101st Airborne's losses. She didn't know if I was alive or dead, didn't hear from me for weeks. The terror in her letters was palpable. I felt guilty reading them, guilty for putting her through that, guilty for not being able to write sooner, but there was nothing I could do, no way to get word to her during combat. That's the reality of war. The people back home suffer too, different suffering than ours, but real nonetheless. Waiting, worrying, not knowing. That's its own kind of hell. My mother wrote too. Similar worry, similar fear. She said she couldn't breathe properly until she heard I was okay. I'm putting them through hell just by being here, by fighting, by risking death every day. Is it selfish to have people who love you when you're at war? Is it cruel to make them endure the waiting? I don't know, but it's too late now. They love me. They worry. That's the price of connection. All I can do is survive. Come home, make their worry worth it. My sister Mary wrote about graduating high school, about her plans for secretarial school, about the boy she likes who finally asked her to a dance. Normal life continuing, the world turning, people living despite the war. It's comforting and strange at the same time. Comforting that life goes on. Strange that it can go on while so much horror happens elsewhere. But I'm glad. Glad my sisters are safe. Glad they get to be teenagers. Glad the war hasn't touched them directly. That's what we're fighting for, right? So people back home can have normal lives, can go to dances and worry about algebra tests instead of bombs and bullets, putting meaning to the suffering, telling ourselves it's for something. Maybe it is. Maybe protecting that normalcy is worth dying for. Or maybe we're just rationalizing, making meaning where there is none, telling ourselves stories to make the horror bearable. I don't know anymore. The lines are blurry. Training started again yesterday, getting the replacements fully integrated, drilling on tactics, preparing for whatever comes next. It's different now. We're veterans. The replacements look at us with a mix of respect and fear, like we're made of something different than them. In a way we are. We've been through the fire, been tested, survived. That changes you, makes you harder, more capable, more broken. The replacements haven't been broken yet. They're still intact, still innocent in that specific way. Some of them will die that way, never getting a chance to lose their innocence gradually, just going from whole to dead in an instant. Others will survive long enough to become like us, veterans, hardened, changed forever. Either way, they won't stay innocent. Combat takes that from everyone eventually. We're teaching them what we can, trying to prepare them, knowing it's not enough but trying anyway. Because that's all we can do, pass on what we learned. Hope it helps. Accept that some of them will die anyway. The cycle continues. New men come in, some die, some survive. The survivors become veterans. New men come in again. The machine keeps grinding. We're just parts in it. Replaceable, temporary, mortal. But necessary. Someone has to fight. Someone has to die. Someone has to survive to train the next batch. That's us now. The survivors, the teachers, the veterans. It's a strange responsibility, heavy, but also oddly meaningful. If we can keep even one replacement alive through good training, that's worth something. If we can pass on lessons learned in blood, that's worth something. If we can make the next battle slightly less horrific through preparation, that's worth something. Small victories, small redemptions, small ways to honor the dead by helping the living. It's not much, but it's what we have. I visited a pub in town finally, last night, with Walter and Bull. Needed to try. Needed to see if I could be around civilians. Act normal. Pretend. It was hard. The pub was crowded and loud, music playing, people laughing. Normal Friday night. But I kept jumping at loud noises, kept scanning for threats, kept expecting violence. Walter and Bull seemed fine, talking to locals, drinking beer, laughing. I tried to join in, but I felt disconnected, like I was watching from behind glass, part of the scene but separate from it. An old man asked me about France. if I'd been there, what it was like. I didn't know what to say. How do you explain war to someone who's never experienced it? Finally, I just said, it was hard, but we did our jobs. He nodded sagely, said he'd been in the First War, said he understood. Maybe he did. Maybe veteran to veteran, there's understanding that doesn't need words. Or maybe everyone's war is different. Maybe my horror doesn't match his horror. Maybe understanding is impossible. Either way, he bought me a beer, raised his glass, said, to the ones who didn't come back. We drank, didn't need to say more. The evening got easier after that. The beer helped, the company helped. Being around people who'd also seen things helped. I'm not ready to be fully normal yet, but I managed a few hours of semi-normal. That's progress. Bull picked up a woman, local girl who seemed taken with his quiet strength. They left together. Good for him. He deserves some comfort, some human connection, some reminder that life is more than war. Walter and I woke back to base together. Quiet night, stars out, peaceful. Think we'll ever be normal again? I asked. Probably not, Walter said, but maybe we can get close enough. Close enough to have lives, be happy sometimes. That might be enough. Yeah, might be. We walked in silence for a while. Then Walter said, I'm glad you made it, Jimmy. Glad we both made it. Me too. That's all there is, really. Gratitude for survival, for friendship, for making it through together. The rest is details. July 24th, 1944. Night. Final entry. 2 weeks since I last wrote. Longest gap yet. But I had good reason. I've been living instead of just surviving. Processing instead of just enduring. Been writing letters, taking walks, actually sleeping. Slowly becoming human again. It's a process. Slow. Painful. Incomplete. But it's happening. Today, Captain Winters held a formation. Announced the official commendations, the medals, the promotions. He praised the company. Said we'd accomplished our mission despite impossible odds. Said we'd made history. Said the 101st Airborne's performance in Normandy would be studied for decades. He said the men who died didn't die in vain, that their sacrifice secured the beachhead, enabled the invasion, changed the course of the war. Maybe he's right. I want to believe he's right. But they're still dead. History doesn't mean much to dead men. Still, it's something. Knowing their deaths mattered. Knowing they're part of something larger. Knowing they'll be remembered. After the formation, Walter, Bull, and I walked to the cemetery where they buried a few men who died of wounds after we returned to England. Different cemetery than France. But same purpose. Same rows of white crosses. Same final resting place for young men. We stood there together. The 3 survivors. The lucky ones. The ones who made it. We're gonna deploy again, Bull said. Not a question. A fact. Yeah, Walter confirmed. Rumor is Holland. Big airborne operation. Bigger than Normandy. When? I asked. September, maybe? October. Soon. There it is. The future. Another mission. Another battle. Another chance to die. But also another chance to live. Another chance to prove ourselves. Another chance to matter. We'll do it together, I said. Damn right, Walter said. Bull just nodded. That's our pact. Our promise. Whatever comes, we face it together. We'll fight. We'll survive if we can. We'll die if we must. But we'll do it as brothers. That's what war gives you. Not glory, not honor, not any of the things they promise. Just brotherhood. Forged in fire. Tested in blood. Unbreakable. We stood at the cemetery until the sun started setting. Golden light across the crosses. Beautiful and sad at the same time. Then we walked back to base together. Ready for whatever comes next. I need to wrap this up, not because I'm done writing, but because this chapter is ending. The boy from Nevada who jumped into France on D-Day is gone. He died somewhere between the plane door and the ground, died in the hedgerows and streets of Normandy, died watching friends fall. In his place is someone else, someone harder, someone sadder, someone who knows too much about death and killing and loss, but also someone stronger, someone more capable, someone who survived hell and came out the other side. I don't know if Eleanor will recognize this person, if my family will accept this person, if I can even accept this person, but this is who I am now, for better or worse, a survivor, a soldier, A man carrying the dead forward by living. That's all I can be. All any of us can be. We carry them. All of them. Malarkey, Joe Toye, Charles Grant, Lieutenant Meehan, the 19 from Cariantan, all the others. We carry them in our memories, in our actions, in every moment of the life they gave us by dying. Their deaths weren't meaningless if we make our survival meaningful, if we live well, if we honor them by being worthy of having survived. That's the burden, that's the responsibility, that's the gift. I'll carry it for as long as I live, through whatever comes next. More combat, more war, eventually peace, eventually home, eventually the rest of my life. I'll carry them all, and I'll keep writing. In a new notebook now. This one's almost full. I'll keep recording the truth. The real war, the war without propaganda, or glory, or sanitization. Because someone needs to remember what it was really like, what we really went through, what we really sacrificed. Not for history books, not for posterity, for us, for the men who lived it, for the men who died in it. This is our story, our truth, our testimony, and it deserves to be told.